Ready. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Millville Commission meeting for August the 20th, 2019 at approximately 7:04 p.m. I call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Santiago.
Here.
Commissioner Pepitone.
Here.
Vice Mayor Parent.
Here.
Commissioner Udalvis.
Here.
Commissioner Cooper.
Here.
Pastor Harris? Okay. Come on up. So all stand, please, for the invocation and salute to the flag.
Let us call upon God's presence this evening. Gracious and loving God, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as this group of dedicated public servants meet this evening to conduct matters of business. Guide their hearts and minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Help them to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow them to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Fill those dedicated to this city with your grace as they make decisions for the good of the residents of the city of Millville. Bless this meeting with your divine intelligence. Help those gathered here to engage in civil discourse dedicated to the well-being of our life together in this city, while recognizing the diversity of opinions that will be offered. We ask your blessing upon all gathered here this evening, and thank you for being here with us this evening. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor, and you all may be seated. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any review changes to the agenda?
We have several, Mayor. Resolution number 14, authorizing a First Amendment to professional service contract with ACOM for Phase 2 upgrade of the wastewater treatment plant. Resolution 15, authorizing amendment to professional service contract with GEI for ongoing environmental remediations. Resolution 16, authorizing a professional service contract with GPM Associates for required reporting to the NJDEP. And new business, item B, authorizing a social affair for Rowan College on September 20th, 2019.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Go right into bills, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that bills be paid after properly certified.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve and dispense with the reading of the following minutes: July 16th, 2019, work session, closed session, regular session, and to proceed with the regular order of business.
Second the motion.
Any comments?
If a commissioner was not present, you just need to abstain from voting.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Abstain.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
We'll go right into presentation. Anybody here from National Ovarian
Mr. Mayor,
Cancer?
if
We had
I
a
may.
second
Oh, I'm
set
sorry.
I
of
move
minutes.
to approve and dispense with the reading of the following minutes: August 6th, 2019, special session meeting, and to proceed with the regular order of business.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner
Thank you,
Pepitone?
Commissioner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Abstain.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Is there anyone here from National Ovarian Cancer Month representation? Seeing no one, I'll read this. So this is a proclamation whereas ovarian cancer is called the silent disease because its symptoms are often vague or subtle, and women's lifetime risk getting ovarian cancer is 1 in 72. Whereas at present there are no early detection tests for ovarian cancer. The leading cause of this are deaths of the United States, and whereas each year more than 22,000 women are diagnosed with this disease and approximately 17,000 die from it. And whereas if medical research can be developed and its deadly disease can be detected in its early stages. Survival from ovarian cancer is 90 to 95%. Sadly, however, the 5-year survival rate for the disease is only 28% because it's usually not detected until later stages. And whereas the Ovarian Cancer Awareness Campaign was launched nationwide by the Ovarian Cancer National Alliance located in Washington, D.C. This mission was to promote public awareness of this silent, deadly disease and its symptoms. The month of September was designated, and its visual aid was established by utilizing the recognized cancer ribbon logo with the ribbon color in teal. And whereas the Susan Mary Rupp Foundation set as their mission to promote public awareness of this silent, deadly disease and its symptoms through their teal ribbons of hope Ovarian Cancer Awareness Campaign. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the City of Millville, New Jersey, hereby join the Ovarian Cancer National Alliance and the nation in declaring the month of September an Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and adds their support of the goals of this awareness campaign. Adopted August 20th, 2019, signed by all of the commissioners and our city clerk, Jeannie Hitchner. So all of you that have gone through this, or know one that's going through this, we're here for your support, as our nation is too. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Now we have a presentation.
I don't.
She here, Marcy?
I think that was removed. Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't announce
Okay.
that.
All right. All right, we now move to public comment on agenda items only. Anyone that has a comment on an agenda item, please go up to the mic. State your name and your concerns, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
John Worthington, Millville taxpayer. 30 years with no taxes. That's a sweet deal. Where would we be if we all had that? I'm here tonight to ask the board to explain why it is considering giving the racetrack another 15-year free ride that will have a long-lasting and negative impact on our kids in schools. The track is not a charity, and it's not a nonprofit working for the betterment of Millville. It's a for-profit business owned by a multimillionaire who does not need the taxpayers of Millville to underwrite his profits or pay for his Cherry Hill mansion. Over the 15 years, this proposal will strip more than $3 million directly from our schools. That is how much the for-profit racetrack should be paying in school taxes. The same taxes that every property owner in Millville pays and has been paying for the past 11 years, while the racetrack has contributed nothing but noise to the community. Generally, there are two reasons a municipality gives tax abatements. First, to lure a new business. This is done with the understanding that once the abatement is finished, the business will become rateable and return the taxpayer's investment. Second is to keep a business from relocating out of the city with the subsequent loss of ratables. It's clearly not the case here. Since the track's assets are not movable, it's not going anywhere. The racetrack has had its 15 years free ride with its token pilot to the city and 0 to our schools and 0 to the county. But they don't exist in a fiscal vacuum. Every dollar they don't pay is a dollar that the rest of the taxpayers have to make up, or a service that has to be cut. Now, just when we were expecting to start getting a return on our investment, the city is offering another 15-year guarantee on racetrack profits. Why would we do this? In most businesses, the investors are the ones who put up the money, take the risk, and reap the rewards. Not here. For some reason, with the racetrack, the taxpayers are being asked to take the risk and guarantee profits for out-of-county owners. I say no. This is a for-profit business owned by a multimillionaire. It does not need corporate welfare on the backs of the taxpayers. If it is not doing as well as the investors would like, they can either put in more of their own money or they can get out. It's a business investment, pure and simple. Now, I've heard the excuses being offered in a vain attempt to justify this second taxpayer bailout. I'm told the track apparently does all sorts of unspecified good things for the city. Well, guess what? So do I. So do many of the other people in this room, and so do many businesses, but none of them are here with their hands out. Most of you were not on this commission 15 years ago when the racetrack came in, making wild promises of ratables and jobs. But I was here, as were many of my neighbors. We heard the pie-in-the-sky fairy tales that the track was pushing to get the city to buy into their business. We were told that within a few years there would be hundreds of well-paying jobs. There would be a Rowan School of Engineering. Manufacturers would open test facilities. It was pitched as a bonanza for Millville, if only we would give them the keys to the city cash box. Despite our arguments, they got their free ride. But of course, the jobs and ratables never came. All we got was bankruptcy and broken promises. And here they are again, asking the city to open its piggy bank. To be sure, they did create some jobs, a handful of good ones. But the bulk are low-wage, no-benefit seasonal jobs. Meanwhile, our schools have had to cut real jobs, programs, and services. Now they're considering outsourcing schools' scores of actual good jobs to save money. How can you justify ripping another $3 million from our kids to benefit the failed promises of the racetrack? Imagine if instead of throwing our money down that racetrack rabbit hole, we invested in ourselves to lure good-paying light manufacturing. If we upgraded the water and sewer infrastructure at the industrial parks so we could get the businesses we are losing to Vineland. If we stop starving our schools. In the 11 years since the track opened, they have not paid one dime to our schools or to the county. Meanwhile, our taxes continue to go up. Remember, you were elected to represent our interests, not Cherry Hill millionaires. I suspect this is all a waste of time, but I'm asking each of you to put aside your political motivations and partisan promises and do what's right for the taxpayers in our schools. It's time for Millville taxpayers to get the break. It's time to get off the racetrack and get on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warrington.
Mr. Mayor, by way of housekeeping, I would suggest we defer public comment on the racetrack till we arrive at item 18, which is a few items down. Otherwise, you're going to have two public hearings instead of one.
Thank you, Solicitor. These gentlemen have already been up. So, do you understand what the solicitor said? We'd rather wait for you to wait till the end. When it comes up, we'd appreciate it.
No problem, Mr. The public hearing.
For public hearing.
Racetrack, because we're going to have a public hearing in a few
Because we're having a public hearing just for this item.
Understand. I'll defer comment then. Thank you.
Thank you. The other three gentlemen okay with that in reference to the racetrack? Thank you.
Good
Yes,
evening.
sir.
Kirk Hewitt. I'll defer my comments on the racetrack till later. Thank you. One thing I do want to talk about on the agenda. It's really nice to see you guys decide to have the fireworks display on Labor Day weekend to make up for being rained out and, unfortunately, no rain date over at the racetrack. Everybody knows the fireworks belong at Union Lake in the city of Millville. With that said, a lot of people went. It's been 2 years. A lot of people were out there before the rain started. A lot of Millville residents did not get to go out there. They did get to go when it was in Union Lake. So with that, you're going to pass this resolution. The only thing I would suggest on this resolution, maybe that you add however you have to with a motion or legally, to the resolution that the fireworks celebration paid for and by the city residents from here on out be held at Union Lake where they have always been held. And, the racetrack, if they want to have fireworks, fine. I think they can afford $12,000 to have their own fireworks for their own clientele. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk.
Lynn Compary, Millville. I just had a question. Will the CFO and the tax assessors still be doing their presentation tonight?
That was removed. No, I think it was removed.
Anything on the agenda?
It's on the
It is
agenda?
on the agenda, and I didn't announce it was removed in the very beginning, but I think it's removed. They're not
The CFO is here. Could she still talk to us about what's going on or what she was going to present?
Oh, she's still here.
I think she may be here. If she's here, she may be here to answer questions.
I didn't know. Was it going to be on the racetrack pilot, the presentation? And then we can ask questions if we so wish. Okay, thank you.
Angeline Broomhome, Millville. I'll have to edit it since the rules have changed last minute. Considering it got brought up during the meeting, I think it's important that if you didn't want us to speak on this during public comment portion, we should have been made aware of that. But I will say, regardless of what is on the agenda, I want to remind all the commissioners that you do not have to pass a first reading. I know you know this, but it seems like no matter what it is, you always say yes, and you'll figure it out in 2 weeks. Don't do that tonight. Don't do that tonight. Because if you do that, we know what you're doing. We know exactly what you're doing. You do not have to forward any ordinance. I was disappointed in last week when you did it because you only had a few hours to review it. You tried to slip that in under the rug. We all notice. And thousands more that are not in this room noticed as well. Do not pass that reading, any ordinance, this or any others, on a first reading if you're not 100% confident in it. If you feel you need more information, you table it. You know the rules. And I expect you to follow them in accordance to what's best for us. For us. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Anyone else? I close the public comment on agenda items only. Old business, please.
There is no old business, Mayor.
Petitions and letters.
Okay, we have correspondence received from the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation advising that the City of Millville has been selected to receive funding from the NJDOT's fiscal year 2019 Local Freight Impact Fund program for the Wade Boulevard and Orange Street reconstruction project in the amount of $1 million.
Jim?
Mayor, move the adoption. Move, receive and file.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Reports of commissioners. Commissioner Cooper?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Tuesday, August 6th, the Parks Department assisted the Millville Police Department with our first National Night Out. 1,131 people attended this great community event. We're looking forward to next year's National Night Out. Really great event. A lot of people came out. Got a lot of good feedback about that, so we're looking forward to doing that again next year. In the last 2 weeks, we have cut over 30 properties: Lakeside Sports Complex, McNeil Street, Babe Ruth, 506 State Street, 228 Green Street, the Ferris Pond, Pine Street, Smith Street, Archer Street, McNeil Street, Cal Ripken, 10th Street, Millville Gardens, Rob Shannon Sports Complex, Columbia Avenue, Old Fleet Maintenance Area, 412 Mulberry Street, 318 Mulberry Street, 605 Mulberry Street, 815 High Street, 4th West Powell, 401 East Vine Street, Union Lake Park and Sunset Island, 4th Street Park, North Street Park, and Governor Stokes Park. Next week we'll be trimming around the pond at Corson Park, getting ready for the August fishing tournament, which is coming up this weekend. We'll also be trimming around the marina on Ware Avenue, where we'll be opening up the bank so you can see the river when you're sitting on the benches. Upcoming events. RVC meeting will be held this Wednesday, August 21st, 6 p.m. at the Millville Senior Center, located at 1500 South 2nd Street. Please bring your new ideas. Fishing tournament again will take place this Saturday, August 24th at Corson Park. Registration starts at 9 a.m. We'll fish from 10 to 12. Lunch will be served and prizes. 9/11 ceremony will be held Wednesday, September 11th, 6:30 p.m. at Buck Park. In the event of rain, the ceremony will be held at the Millville Fire Department. And the Millville Baby Show will be held Saturday, September 14th at Corson Park. Registration will start at 1 p.m. and the show will start promptly at 2 p.m. All children must be from Millville. Categories are as follows: float, costume, under 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years. And that is my report from the Parks Department.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper. Commissioner Pepitone.
Yes, Mayor. This past Wednesday, there was a competition going on. I don't know if many of you knew about it. It was on Facebook, Battle of the Badges. It was a competition between Vineland and Millville on raising much-needed blood for the National Red Cross. While a total of, I believe, 88 pints of blood were raised, and Vineland bringing in 53 of them, they declared a victory. However, it was supposed to be taken into account the size of the cities and the individuals involved, since Vineland is twice the size of Millville in their police department, etc. And us bringing in 35, I declare Millville the winner because proportionately we had more people come out, and that was supposed to be taken into consideration. However, it was a lot of fun. It was great opportunity for people to give life, and the National Red Cross declared it a success. Next year we're going to try to make it even bigger, but that's my report for this time, Mayor. Thank you.
Receive and file your report.
You got the fire department.
Thank you. I'm in receipt of the fire report for the month of July, and I move it to be received and filed.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Udalvis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In regard to the August 12th meeting of the Planning Board, the following application was memorialized by resolution. Resolution number 10-2019 for Millville Ally Properties, LLC, granting minor subdivision approval as to Phase 2C in an agricultural conservation area. The following application was presented and approved. A request by Infinity Energy Services, LLC, for amendment of the general development plan as well as preliminary and final site plan approval for the project Millville Motorsports Solar for 2 solar arrays in an I-3 general industry district. The next meeting of the city's planning board will be held on Monday, September 9th at 6:30 p.m. in the Richard C. McCarthy Commission Chamber on the 4th floor of City Hall. Additionally, the next meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment will be held on Thursday, September 5th at 6:30 p.m. in the Richard C. McCarthy Commission Chamber on the 4th floor of City Hall. In regard to economic development, the department reminds all local business owners and interested participants of the upcoming Small Business Workshop Series facilitated by the New Jersey Economic Development Authority on Tuesday, August 27th from 10 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. at the Luciano Conference Center at Rowan College of South Jersey Cumberland campus. Free workshops and informational sessions will provide information about technical assistance programs available from local, state, and federal agencies, including the new Small Business Lease Assistance Program. Interested participants may register through the Greater Millville Chamber of Commerce. Providing an update of the Bureau of Permits and Inspections, please be advised that code enforcement will be conducting brief on-site surveys of neighborhoods and properties throughout the city as a phase of the department's technical assistance program with New Jersey Community Capital. The surveys are anticipated to conclude on August 30th, 2019, and will be utilized to provide the department with an updated comprehensive database of abandoned and foreclosed properties. Code enforcement and the Bureau of Permits and Inspections extends its gratitude to the residents of Millville for their understanding throughout this survey process. And with the conclusion of this report, Mr. Mayor, progress.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to submit the tax collector report for the month of July 2019. Move to receive and file.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Just for people's information, our chief financial officer is here this evening. We have discussed exactly what motorsports has contributed or has not contributed to the city. For your information, we will bring that up, Mayor, I guess, at when the ordinances are being read. So I hope that everybody has a clear understanding about who pays taxes, how much was brought in. I think that is very important. Okay? So you'll get it directly from our chief financial officer, not the elected officials or a politician or someone who might have a special interest in it, okay? You're going to get it right from a professional person. And I hope that it will clear some of the misunderstandings that are out there, okay, folks? So later on, you'll get a full report from our chief financial officer, okay? Thank you very much.
Hold on.
It's on the website.
Hold on, guys.
Hold on, God. People, you cannot...
Hold on.
Yeah, you cannot speak right now under the rules of the commission, okay? You will have a report from our CFO when the time comes under the ordinances, okay? So you'll have plenty of time to ask questions and have an understanding. I believe Motorsports is here this evening. You'll get remarks from them also under whatever report they're going to give. I don't know what that is, okay? So that's where my report is right now, and just be patient. You'll have your time, and we're looking forward to your comments. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd also like to have receive and file the Streets and Roads report for the month of July 2019.
Second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pipitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes. I'd like to read that report before I hand it in.
Yeah.
Sure.
So our Streets and Roads Department, 80 tires were collected, 5,526 bags of loose leaves and grass clippings were collected. Storm drainage and road repair on Cates Boulevard completed. Catch basins repair on G Street, the extension complete. Catch basins repair on Bogdan Boulevard and Pleasant Drive completed. Storm drain addition and road repair to Kimberly Drive completed. Catch basins repair on Bessie Way completed. All drainage lines and basins on Clover Lane, Crescent Boulevard have been cleaned and inspected per request of a resident of that area. Overflow basins in Woods at the end of Quince and Crescent also cleaned out and inspected. Retention ponds at Manor Estates have been cut. Retention pond at McCafferty Boulevard, they have been cut. Our Vector is back in operation currently in Center City. Compost facility has been reopened to the public with restriction hours and rules. Brush grinding will be performed by South Jersey Ag starting next week. The street sweeper only ran 2 weeks in July due to maintenance issues and has roughly 300 tickets and has issued at least or roughly 300 tickets. If you have any questions, concerns, please contact our supervisor, Wayne Gressman, at our Streets and Roads at 825-7000, extension 7391. So I'd like for this to be received and filed. It's already been through. Thank you.
That was done.
Madam Clerk, we'll go right into ordinances on second reading.
Okay, we have an ordinance amending the City of Millville Municipal Code, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 13, Public
Mayor?
access to government records.
Mr. Mayor, move for the passage of this proposed ordinance on second and final reading.
Second motion.
This meeting's on public hearing on ordinance on second reading. Anyone that would like to address this ordinance change on Administration Article 13, please step up to the mic. State your name and concerns and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please. Seeing no one, I close ordinance item number 1 on second reading. Roll call.
Commissioner Pipitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 2 is an ordinance authorizing amendment to Motor Vehicle and Traffic Regulations Municipal Code, Article 10, Schedule 21, to add parking reserved for handicapped persons at 200 block of North 6th Street.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the passage of this ordinance for second and final reading.
Second motion.
This ordinance is also on second reading. An amendment of Motor Vehicle and Traffic Regulations for a handicapped person at 200 block of North 2nd Street. Anyone that has any comments or concerns concerning this ordinance on second reading, please step up to the mic. State your name and your concerns and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please. Seeing no one, I close item number 2, ordinance. Roll call.
Commissioner Pipitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 3 is an ordinance amending the City of Millville Municipal Code, Chapter 46, Personnel Policies, Article 31, Work Hours, subsection 132, work hours to add 132.1, dress code policy, and 132.2, children in the workplace policy.
Mr. Mayor, move the passage of this proposed ordinance on second and final reading.
Second the motion.
Ordinance on second reading again, item number 3, in reference to our code, Chapter 46 policy, making changes to work hours and dress code. Anyone that has any concerns, please step up to the mic, state your name and your concerns, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please. Seeing no one, I close ordinance on second reading, item number 3. Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 4 is an ordinance approving First Amendment to financial agreement between the New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal, LLC, and the City of Millville to extend the exemption from local taxation of the land improvements for a period of 30 years.
Mr. Mayor, move the passage of this proposed ordinance on second and final reading.
Second the motion.
Again, item number 4 is an ordinance on second reading. Anyone that has any comments or concerns concerning this change on a financial agreement between New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal and the City of Millville to extend the local taxation of land improvements for 30 years, please step up to the mic, state your name and concerns, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Mr. Mayor and Madam Clerk, if I may ask, I do also have comments as a commissioner. Should I reserve them as per your discretion?
I think you should actually do them now, I would say. And
I'll
then,
refer to our
what do
city
you think?
solicitor as well. Would it be customary for the commissioner to provide a comment prior to public hearing, or would it be best served to follow?
I think you should let the public comment
Okay.
first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go with
Sorry.
that, Commissioner?
Just
They're waiting patiently.
Yes, they have.
I'm sorry.
Maybe for clarity's sake.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I thank you all for your service to the City of Millville. I own Gem Enterprises on Columbia Avenue, and I'm here on behalf of myself and my company. I pay over $100,000 a year in taxes personally. I came in from outside of the area, and if the criteria now is to reduce taxes under some type of hardship, and we begin a line under this type of criteria of it's going to create a hardship for an entity or an individual, I think the line is going to go here and wrap down on towards Vineland. So where do we get to the fact that we establish some type of criteria? Is it they do a lot for the community? As it was said this evening, a lot of us do a lot of things for the community. Is it that we're going to show that there's a net contribution with taxation, that wherein somebody goes in and purchases gasoline at Wawa, that money that was taxed on the gasoline then creates employment opportunities and things? We can give convoluted accounting. I'm a Wharton School graduate. I'm a real nerd. I'm our own accountant. I can tell you that I can make 2 + 2 look like 97 cubed. It's really, and I'm not saying that this is done here. That's why I asked for a written report of what's going to be alleged, because I believe that we should have an informed opinion. So this way we have a comprehensive view in the interest of the constituents that are represented here by the mayor and the commissioner. I'm not trying to bash any of you. I've actually admired, this is a very, very tough job, and sometimes you have to make decisions that are contrary to the public interest. For example, on a national level, there's things that were done with General Motors and things in a financial crisis. This is not a financial crisis. If it is under the threat of a business closing, I could easily argue that the foundry building that I occupy, which was built in 1850, because I did my research, has been vacant for a while, but I purchased it, reinvented it, and I'm happy to be here. But I don't want an additional tax burden on other constituents, be it personal as well as professional businesses in the area and the people. I can personally afford it. I'm blessed. What about other people? It's not incumbent upon them to pay a share of taxes that the New Jersey Motorsports has agreed to. There was a finite agreement, and I get that that was made in the interest of the community to attract someone. I get that. Some people I've argued, said, hey, you know, they've not argued, but give some persuasive conversations that said that might be in the best interest in the community to bring in a large business. I frankly own, and some people don't know this, I just sold one of my race cars. I own race cars. Ask me how many times I race there. 0. Where do I race? Atco and Pocono Raceway. Why don't I race there? They haven't done their marketing, but that's not our problem. That's not our problem. I just sold one of my cars, and I have like $270,000 in one of my cars. Most people don't even know I own cars like that, but I race. Again, I don't race. There's a whole bunch of us. We don't race at the track. Why? They're not good business people. If they were good, well, actually, they must be real good business people because they have a petition here. I don't have a petition here. Does anybody have a petition here? You want your taxes lower? What's the criteria? And that's what I want to get to. I think that this stinks. I don't think it's in the interest of Millville. I don't think it's in the interest of the other business. I think it sets a very negative precedent. And I'd like you to respectfully consider not reducing the time period. Let it end. When does it end? You can't keep feeding people. It's like, well, donate to these people. They need food. How about give them burpee seeds and hose and irrigation system? Let them make their own food. I don't want to pay for this. This is insane. There's people that are barely getting by. We fix laptops and MacBooks and all this. We have people here in Millville that drop their stuff off to at my shop that can't afford it. This area, a lot of people are financially distressed. And I say that with the utmost respect. I don't mean to sound condescending towards anybody. But there's no reason that their taxes should go up. When they say, well, I don't really care, I don't rent. But ultimately, vicariously, you will pay additional taxation through a rent increase. Because that rent increase is going to have to be correlating to the additional taxation because these guys aren't paying. I have nice cars too, but I'm not coming here and asking for a tax break. This is nonsense. I mean, I've people like that are working for me. We just had a great hire from Millville here. That, people are just barely getting by. Well, they don't need a tax increase so some guy can have his Lotus. This is insanity. I beg you to reconsider. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you,
evening.
Mr. Myers.
Richard Swaim, taxpayer, disabled vet. I like numbers. I like proving things with numbers. So I'm going to give you some numbers. First of all, we have an 11% unemployment rate in Millville. Millville is rated in the bottom 3% of the safest towns in the country. Millville High School is rated 397 out of 425 high schools in the state of New Jersey for how smart kids are. I see a lot of former teachers. I see a lot of present teachers. Present police officers, former police officers. Do you know that in a city of 28,000 people, 1 in 174 are going to be the victim of a violent crime? 1 out of every 110 citizens is going to be a victim of property crime. Now, I pay property taxes. My grandfather built the house that I live in after he got back from World War II. I spent 15 years in the United States Army. 35% of that I spent downrange, getting blown up and getting shot at. But I pay $5,100, which is 100%. No.
I appreciate your service.
No.
I appreciate it because
it's civic duty.
It's a good thing what you did.
It's civic duty, and I was proud to do it. I wish I could do it again. My taxes are $5,100 a year. I pay 100% of them. I'm on Social Security disability. The United States government and the state of New Jersey have declared that I cannot hold a job, so I'm on disability. But I'm not paying 18% of what I'm supposed to pay. Now, the New Jersey Racetrack, and I hold Don Fairbach in high regard. He's a family friend. I've known him for my entire life because he went to school with my mother and father. The garages and the homes pay upwards from Mr. Fairbach $400,000 a year in taxes. I get it. But we're not talking about the people that own the homes. We're talking about the racetrack. Now, $175,000 from what I've gleaned from the Millville tax code is 18 cents on the dollar of what they should pay. I get it. You want a tax break for people that hold jobs. Millville Motorsports employs 22 to 25 people full-time. Part-time is about 200 to 225, and that's on weekends. Nobody is working Friday and Saturday at the Motorsports for their entire year of salary. So I get it. You want to give them a bump. My question is, if we tax them 100%, how safe could Millville be? How smart could your kids be? That's all I'm saying. 18 cents on a dollar. You're a former police officer. Wouldn't you like to have 6 cops full-time? How many people have kids or grandkids in school? Wouldn't you like another 8 teachers in your school? And I'm not talking about a superintendent who we just let go, who was getting $174,000 a year, and Millville ranked from 395 to 397, so money well spent. What I'm saying is that I get business, but I want my kid and my grandkids to be safe, and I want my kids to be smart. That's all every parent wants. So,
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.
Joe Suey, Millville. You know, I listened to the invocation, and I heard about fairness, deciding what's good for the residents. So I'm going to bring a few things here to light that people may not know about the racetrack. During my term and your term, Mr. Mayor, land was sold to the racetrack for $5,000 an acre, 100 acres. It was later sold for $15,000 an acre. Now, I didn't vote for that. You know how you voted. It passed 3-2, I'll put it that way. And again, when we had the last air show, I received correspondence, and I was asked not to do anything about it at the time, that it would be worked out. And it was indicative that the racetrack wanted $40,000 to close so that the air show could occur. I don't know if that money was ever paid by the Airfield Museum or not. But I will tell you this. It is extremely unfair to give the racetrack another tax abatement, and the timing is unquestionably suspect when there are several years left on this abatement. You also have another ordinance decreasing this to 25 years coming up. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I look at this abatement as a big pile of bull manure, and if it's a compromise to cut it down to 25 years instead of 30 years, you took a little bull manure off the top and tell me it's not manure anymore. So the bottom line is that this is bad. They've had their bite. They've had their bite at the apple. They need to exist on their own. I don't want them to close, but they need to exist on their own. Apparently they're making money because they keep building things. So why can't they pay their taxes? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suey.
Kirk Hewitt, Millville. First, I want to start with a question. I know I'm not going to get an answer. I don't expect an answer. On these 2 pilot ordinances tonight, have any of you actually sat down, done your due diligence in reading both and researching the current active one that is up for your vote tonight? Before you vote, maybe you ought to ask yourself that question. Do you know what you're voting on? Or are you listening to who's telling you how to vote? That said, 3 former Board of Education members, Mr. Cooper, Mr. Santiago, Mr. Pepitone. 1 former Millville elementary school teacher, Miss Udolivus. 1 former mayor, now vice mayor, who loves to just taunt all the good things that are going into Millville. And yet here we are, set to approve the extension of the pilot for the motorsports park. $202,836 last year alone lost money for education in this city. How about how many new officers, like the gentleman said, for your tax money? Your tax money can't buy new officers. Their correct tax money from the motorsports park can. We hear all about what the track does to the city and business. It's even been said, without the track, the city is nothing. What about the residents that are the heart and soul of the city? What businesses do they mean? The hotels? Last time I knew, there were 2 hotels in Millville. The track sends their clientele to the hotels in Vineland. The bars and restaurants, right through town, whenever, wherever you like. You all frequent them. We all frequent them. Those establishments are always busy and doing well, with or without the racetrack. It is said the racetrack does charity work for the city. We thank them for that. However, there are people in this city that also donate their time and money. Those normal, hard-working, tax-paying people don't ask for a tax break. They do it because they do it. I myself have spent money and many hours supporting the track, the race cars, the go-karts, watching the racing series that have come and gone. They're no longer here. Where are the jobs the track quoted? Per an article recently in the Daily Journal, the promise was made in the now existing pilot. 1,520 on-site jobs, and at least as many, if not more, throughout the city and county. That's also in the paperwork on this ordinance that you are looking to extend. That's a broken promise. That voids their abatement by the written article signed in 2004. According to Cumberland County website, as of October 2018, the track employs 149 people. The promise of jobs was the basis of the original pilot and was not met, and yet you want to extend the pilot. Where's the track going to go if this doesn't happen? The stakeholders aren't going to just pick up and run to Vineland like Dick's Sporting Goods did, or anywhere else for that matter. Time has come. The current tax break is not up until 2013, December 31st to be exact. Why is it so important to pass a new pilot now, 3 years ahead of time? It is time for you, the Commission, to stop these two ordinances. It is time for New Jersey Motorsport Park to figure out how to be a neighbor in Millville and to figure out how to stand on its 2 feet in Millville and pay their due share, just like every other taxpayer in the city of Millville. The only thing I'm afraid we're going to see here tonight is a dog and pony show. Maybe, Mr. Pepitone, because I don't think you agree with this 30-year extension. But I'm afraid we're going to see that you guys are all going to sit there and you're going to talk about how bad this is. You're going to vote no on this 30-year abatement. And you're going to sit around, you're going to sit there, and you're going to turn around a little bit later on this evening, and you're going to talk about, and you're going to bring the CFO up to say how good things are with the racetrack. They do this, they do that, they do this, they do that. And then you're going to vote and say it's a compromise on a 25-year abatement. The only vote that needs to be made, the only compromise that needs to be made, no extension on the abatement. Done.
Thank you, Mr. Ewart.
Good evening, Don Carty. I'm back again. I asked you in the work session, why the hurry? The racetrack has 2 years. You have approximately 2 years to sit in those seats ever again. So I hope you thought about what the race is. This isn't a racetrack. This is money for these schools, education, for Mike's fire department, to find us some rescue squad personnel. Not one ambulance for 28,000 people, not 800 calls this year to outlying communities to come in and service Millville. I don't want to be laying on the street waiting 20 minutes, 25 minutes for an ambulance. I don't know where you guys' heads are at. I don't know if they're just big and blowed up and you just don't think, or you think too much. But this abatement for this racetrack, I don't know what your rush into this is. Unless they have a deal, they have to get it passed before you get out of commission. It doesn't look good, doesn't taste good. That the next commission may say no, but they still have 2 years. And I'm asking you to table this. Table it for 2 years, and you won't be here, so somebody else can figure it out and decide. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carty.
Tim Carty, Millville. Now I get to talk, right, Mr. Solicitor? I just want to make sure. I am in disagreement with this ordinance with the 30 years and the 25. They've already had they're going to have their 15, and that should be it. Don't take this as a personal attack because you guys said it at public meetings. Commissioner Cooper, you stated how you don't like to drive through Center City with your daughters because how unsafe it is. Think about it in 4 years. When you guys approve this abatement, we don't have no money for the police officers. What are you going to do? What about the rest of us? How we feel unsafe? That's money to our police department. Commissioner Pepitone, we have a public EMS crisis in this city. You think about it. There's no sense for Vineland, Brixton, anybody to come in here. Your guys are an embarrassment. Great things to come. For who? For your friends, for your supporters, for the racetrack. Think about the money that's being lost. The 25 and the 30 is going to hurt this city. What's long-term effects? I see Officer Duffield back. Congratulations for coming back. What's going to happen to his job in 5 years when you extend this abatement? And the 10 new hires, you pat yourselves on the back when the previous commission already had it in the budget. What about our schools? Commissioner Cooper, you ran for school board. Your slogan was Cooper for Kids. Now you're sitting up there, you serve 1 year on the school board, and now I guess you throw your school board slogan away and let our schools suffer because they're not going to be paying school taxes. Commissioner Pepitone, you're a teacher. Union member. What do you think the NJE is going to look like when a commissioner votes to take school money, tax money away from their school district? I don't think the union would like that, since you're the big negotiator. Because I don't think you can negotiate anything. And I'm also happy to say I'm glad to see you paid your taxes, even though they were late. Commissioner Udavlis, you're a former Millville school ed teacher. What more can I say? You know how the district's hurting. Commissioner Santiago, what about your son, who was hired by Millville Police? How's this going to affect his job if there has to be city layoffs? What about our fire department? What about our other city departments, public works? Are we going to keep privatizing them, sending them out to a private company to do our yard work, do our road work, pipe work? Our infrastructure's failing. It's proven fact. 2nd Street, Saturday morning, our water department's out there fixing a major water leak. I think this one should be voted down tonight on second reading, and the 25 should be voted down also. It's time for the track to pay their bills like I pay my bills and everybody in this room. Do the right thing.
Thank you, Tim.
Hi, my name's Melissa Tomlinson, and I'll be honest, I'm not a resident of Millville, but I am a school teacher in Buna, a community that kind of feels the same pain of having a low rateable base to fund its schools. So I recognize the feeling of, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? You want to hold on to something that is guaranteed revenue for your community in one way or another rather than giving it up or potentially losing it in the future, right? We've lost businesses in Buna. I feel that pain. But there's so many things going on right now in the state of New Jersey that I really feel that it would be foolhardy to make this decision right now. We have talked about redoing the school funding formula. We have talked about merging and consolidating districts. There's a lot of different revenue streams and kind of financial discussions that are going on that to put something like this in place before those decisions are made, when you have the leeway of time to see what happens, it would be negligible to the people in your community. We have 80% as an average of property tax revenues that go to school funding. So to deny that revenue now for so many years in the future is dangerous to this community and dangerous to your homeowners. Another point I want to bring up is that this is not the only option. It's not an either or, especially right now with this the current contract not ending until 2023. So you have time to look at options. And I'm going to give you an example of an option. Washington Township had an argument like this a couple years ago about housing development that had a pilot, and the school, says, well, where's our money? We need our money. So they actually put a revenue sharing agreement into place. They went back to the table and they said, look, our schools need this. You need this. The community needs this. It was for housing, a lot of units. So obviously there was a great need. But it ended up being that the amount that was above and beyond the pilot that the school district would have received the district received that extra top amount. Now, I'm not saying that's affordable for this community and exactly how that works out, but it's something that we could definitely research. But I just want to put it in your minds that there are other options, and there's time to explore those options. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
My name is Christina Pantelis-Foyer. I sent.
Hold the microphone down.
There you go. Thank you.
I sent each of you the email. I do want to read out loud about my opposition of this tax abatement. And I know I'm not the only Millville resident that is in hardship. So here it goes. If the city council decides to extend the tax abatement to the racetrack, that would cause more of a financial hardship to my family. The 4.5% tax increase that has recently taken effect has put harder financial strain on my family. My husband and I both work in the private sector. We both have great jobs we love, but we're not as lucky as public employees that we get annual pay raises. I went with without a pay raise for 2 years, and last time I received was not even $1 an hour. As we pay over $1,500 for health insurance. As the Jody Messina song goes, I'm stuck. I'm above the below and below the upper. I'm stuck in the middle where money gets tight. Sums up my life perfectly. I'm sure it sums up other Millville residents. My family and I adhere to a strict financial budget. I try to cut the items on our budget to pay for our increased taxes. The only thing left to cut on the budget was our grocery shop budget. Our old budget was $100 a week for $400 a month. So thanks to the city council and their tax increase, my new food budget is now down to $75 a week, $300 a month. I have 2 teenage kids. I would like the city council to start thinking. I would like for the city council to start to put yourselves in our shoes and think about the residents first and foremost, and how the tax increases and given tax abatements affect the residents. I'm not going to harp on all the promises that the racetrack has not kept, but I will say this in simple math and English: no money coming in, aka tax abatement, equals raised taxes for taxpayers. Since the city doesn't know how to trim a budget, the city council doesn't have any respect for our tax money. If they do, they would do like any household and find other ways to save money. So I asked the city council, strongly consider voting against this tax abatement. My question is, how much more do you want from me? So.
Thank you, Christina.
Paul Pareca Jr. Today before us we have 5 elected officials that have claimed and promised time and time again that in their position as those making policy and law decisions, that only the best interest of the citizens of Millville is their guiding light. They have voted to extend the freedom from equal taxation to the NJMP tonight. I'm sure that most tax-paying citizens will understand that the guiding light was extinguished a long time ago. The New Jersey long-term tax exemption law is also long and complicated, but several things that it does control and make fairly clear are that there are no sections specifically allowing for an extension of a pilot program for non-residential developments. There are, however, very specific defined calculations for setting the minimum payments to be made by the entities receiving the preferential tax treatment. The elected officials have not followed these laws and have not charged anything close to the minimums. The citizens of Millville and Cumberland County and the schools have been shortchanged and dismissed for the entire time the pilot has been in effect. The new ordinance introduced last month and set to be passed tonight does not follow the law, is much lower than the statutory minimums, and increases considerably what every other taxpayer will be required to pay. I've considered the detriment to the city and its taxpayers should the NJMP's pilot expire under the previously negotiated agreement, and have been unable to arrive at any verifiable reason to allow the continuance of preferential treatment to this commercial entity. It may or may not cause the NJMP to close. That's minimally debatable, but the effects of the closure would not be felt in any way by the majority of the Cumberland County taxpayers. The $700,000 plus will still be due for the land and the improvements, and in all likelihood will be paid, if not by the current owners, then by some other investor. No one has come forward with any statistical evidence as to the overall fiscal effectiveness of the corporate welfare freely given to by these elected officials. But the results of every increasing school, county, and municipal tax are felt by everyone. With multiple pages of foreclosures in the newspaper every week, boarded and abandoned properties, and multiple vacant properties in the business district, everyone but these commissioners can see the results of their failed experimentation, waste of our tax dollars, and continued inability to grasp the notion that you cannot continue to expect the majority to pay more while a select few pay less than their fair share. The list of failures by this commission is not short. The Levoy cannot pay as they agreed. Their debt to the citizens of Millville has been forgiven by this commission. Why? Only vague, distorted reasoning has been proffered. The demolition of a building that the city did not own, had no responsibility to demolish, completed at an inflated cost under an imagined emergency without proper authority, the inability to sell the old Wheaton factory property even at a fire sale price, the inability to attract industry to the industrial park at the airport even after a letter of intent was signed, losing them to Vineland, the failure of all of this expensive, unproductive government generosity with other people's money has done nothing to improve the community, quality of life, or people's ability to afford to live here. The promise made by these particular commissioners and some of the same ilk that came before them has continually been, just wait, great things are coming. That's true, but not to citizens that shoulder the full government of taxes and get no break, but to those that don't want to pay what everybody else has to. Taxpayers paid for a new water tower on Buckshootum Road. We paid to widen Nab Avenue. Taxpayers paid for improvements to Buckshootum Road and to Dividing Creek Road. Taxpayer paid for the new sewer and water mains. We paid for directional signs. We paid for defending lawsuits. We listened to noise where there once was quiet, all tolerated with the promise of taxes and jobs and opportunity that a $40 million investment would bring. What we got was an investment of only half of that, a pilot program that did not collect anywhere near the original $350,000 per year that was agreed. So this is not the First Amendment, this is the Second Amendment. Even though that was less than the minimum required by statute. And a group of elected officials that for no legitimate known reason are going to pass an ordinance that continues to violate the law, common decency to the citizens of Cumberland County that are forced to subsidize these gifts bestowed on others by these commissioners. I've had enough. I hope everybody else has too.
Thank you, Mr. Collector.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kimberly Carty, 1441 Lloyd Terrace. I do want to acknowledge while I do serve as the school board president, I'd like you to understand my comments are mine tonight. They're as a private citizen. I do hope at some point we can have a conversation more formally in that regard. I debated on where to speak tonight because you know I've addressed you in the past about pilots. Pilots that the city gives has an immediate and direct negative impact on the school budget. 3 of you there have sat on the Board of Ed. You know what I'm talking about. And a 4th is a teacher, so you've felt the impact of that. And so what do I mean by having a negative impact? When you offer a pilot to a business, and my comments are not against the motorsports park in any way. That ship has sailed. My comments are just in general to pilots. When you offer a pilot, 95% of the revenue you collect stays here in the city. That's fabulous. 5% goes to the county. Not one single dollar goes to the school. Not one. The state of New Jersey says we are a district that is not meeting its fair share. Well, what does that mean? That means the state of New Jersey says we, the city of Millville, and the taxpayers should be contributing $12.24 million more than we do today. Let me say that again. $12.24 million. They think should be coming from us. So what does that mean? Where are we getting our money? 87% of the school budget comes from either state or federal taxes. The rest come from the city residents. So as a city resident, you're going to get a 10 cent, 13 cent on the dollar return for your school district.
The impact of that is the state continues to flat fund us. And actually, our funding was reduced in the last year, or the last 2 years, by a little less than $1 million. So each and every school year, the school district starts their budget year $2 to $3 million in the deficit. I'll say that again. $2 to $3 million in the deficit. And I think, before me and in my tenure as a board member, I think the school district has done a pretty amazing job at trying to balance that budget in a way that's the least restrictive and has the least impact on the students and the city of Millville. There are no more low-hanging fruit, and you all know we've started picking at the big stuff. We had to close Wood School. We have the high school construction. I don't know what's going to happen in Memorial. We have some great ideas, but I don't know. There are big things that are going to happen. When the school district, the Board of Education, raises taxes to the maximum they're allowed to by law, the 2%, it generates $250,000 more in additional taxes. Remember I said we start the year $2 to $3 million in the hole, and we can only generate $250,000 in revenue. You see where we have a problem, and you see why we had some difficult decisions to make this year. And listen, we all know where we are with that, but we're going to continue to have difficult decisions. So here's what I'm asking. I'm asking that, as Melissa said, she took a little of the wind out of my sail. These pilots have a direct impact on the school district. I would really love to see a member of the Board of Education sitting with the commission whilst you're negotiating these agreements, because it directly impacts the board. And that's not to say the Board of Ed member representing the board has a vote. Clearly we don't. But at least we could understand how you've arrived at the decision that you've made. That's number one. Number two, the commission, as Melissa states, you can offer a revenue share. You can say a portion of what we do collect in the pilot is going to be funneled to the school district. That's a choice you get to make. And I really would encourage you, as everybody said, there's no emergency here. You guys have some more time. I know you want to get this done before you're out of the office because you like the track and you can do it, and that's fine. But you have a few more months. There's no fire here to put out. That's a whole nother issue. So you have a chance. You have a chance to do the right thing. Invite somebody from the board to join you in these negotiations and at least consider a revenue share. It's not going to be pretty, folks. This school budget, I literally stay up at night worried about it because our kids need us and our kids need you to make the right decision. So that's that piece of it. My second piece of it is, according to state law, when we're doing a long-term tax exemption, there's a calculation, and I know this is public comment, not a public question. I'm with you on that. But I'd like to leave this out there, and maybe there's something coming. Marcy, I'm hoping. I'd like to understand how we are calculating the LTTE, right? Because the state law says it has to be at least 10% of the gross profit, at least, or at least 2% of the projected cost of construction. And it's not really clear to me what that is. So if you could help us better understand that and provide that transparency, that might help maybe lessen the hurt a little bit. Thank you so much for your consideration. I would very much like, again, please consider including somebody from the Board of Education, and please include, at least think about the revenue share, because our district is in some kind of way, folks, and I need you to work. We, the taxpayers, need you to work with our Board of Ed. It's the only way we have going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Good evening, Angeline Broomhall, Millville. I'd like to direct your attention to two seats. One with my daughter, who's 16. She's never seen in her schools any money from the track. I don't need her free coat. I need to be able to afford my own free coat, my own coat for my daughter. This is what you're doing. She'll be in her 30s. In her 30s. My home may probably not even be there anymore because it'll probably go into foreclosure, like the seat behind her that's empty, with the sign. That's empty in a symbolism of all the families over the years who have lost their homes because if they can't pay, they need to go. That's the policy here, right? You don't pay our taxes, you have to go. I'm not asking the track to go. I'm asking them to pay their fair share like the rest of us in this room have. I've heard mentioned charitable contributions. Charity is an income tax deduction, not a property tax deduction. It's supposed to be given without anything in return. To use that reasoning to give the track more corporate welfare is a slap in the face to every single struggling resident and business owner in this city. Many of us all give of our money and perform charitable work, and we do not do it and turn around and use it against the very people we're claiming to help. Their charity should not even be mentioned, never mind considered in this decision. I keep hearing that the track supports local business. That's why they were generously granted 15 years and all the infrastructure. We gave them that so that they would bring business into town. That was the point. So any minimal business that we've gotten, which I have not seen any documented cost-benefit analysis posted on the website, like Sweeney has requested, and there is a bill in the Senate right now. I guess we're trying to rush before we get that passed too, huh? So we don't have to prove a cost-benefit analysis. But if there has been any business, where is it quantifiable? Where is an independent verification of that claim? Otherwise, it's all just noise. I do this. I have people coming to the bars. I have people getting gas. It's noise. Unless you can provide me hardcore evidence, it's noise. So please don't come to me with that excuse. Veterans need to provide evidence that they are eligible for any property tax benefits. Yet all the track seems to do is make nice with some politicians. The economy saw a downturn. That's one of the excuses for their bankruptcy and for why that we needed to continually over and over redo their abatement agreement. We're all struggling with that. You, me, everyone in this room. We've all, in Millville, Cumberland County especially, more than probably anywhere in the country, we're all still struggling from the economic downturn in this country. In the country, and the county's the worst. But yet we're still required to meet our obligations, our tax obligations. We've also been threatened with the track will close or cut hours or have to raise prices to their customers if they're forced to pay their fair share. Funny how none of those arguments are that an investor in the track will have to accept a lower dividend payment, or a principal owner will have to sacrifice one of their high-priced cars, where people in here can't afford a bus pass. We cannot continue to put the burden on the poor to subsidize the rich. The track has already benefited from not only a 15-year exemption, but a bankruptcy which devastated some local vendors. They even tried to stiff the Millville Rescue Squad out of close to $500,000. A judge had to order them to pay most of that. Doesn't sound like a very good neighbor to me. The original agreement has been amended twice to accommodate the track. The original promise was a $350,000 pilot payment and rise to about $1 million annually after 5 years. 5. It's been 15 years since the project began and 11 since the pilot began. They're not even making the minimum payment that they've agreed to. Extending the exemption even a single day will in fact hurt our most valuable asset, our children. At minimum, the track owes our schools, and this is by their own accounting, their own report these numbers came from. The track owes us over $200,000 annually to our children. Their argument may be that they don't use the schools. Again, that's not how school taxes work. They want to have an educated staff to work for them. They want their customers to be able to read the signs. We can't do that if we can't provide an educated community. They're responsible just as much as I am. I have one, you may have 5 children. We're all responsible to pay our fair share. I'm not asking for anything more, not a penny more than just their fair share. To extend this exemption is textbook corporate welfare. It's taking advantage of our poverty and our desperation with empty promises.
Angela, 1 minute.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The residents of Millville have been more than generous. To even consider extending it 15 more years is abhorrent.
Thank you, Angela.
Kevin Acelta, Millville, here as a resident. Just want to touch base on a couple of things other people have mentioned. It doesn't expire to December of 23. Is that correct?
23, correct.
Okay. On an average, an ordinance takes a maximum of 90 days, and that's with some roadblocks in the way. Normally, you can get them pushed through as fast as a 30-day if needed. So we're 3 years out, over 2.5 years out. Why is this discussion happening now prior to it? That's number one, and I think that's what a lot of people are feeling also. Also, you said Marcy's going to talk about the taxes. I wish that was done beforehand so we would have had a better judge of what was going on prior to making our comments. When you guys are, and I actually agree with tax habits, which a lot of people do not. I don't agree with the life support for 15, 30 years. 5 years to bring a business in, offset the cost of opening, I get. At 15 and 30 years, we're now doing life support. Any business could survive if they have life support. In your process of making your decision with tax habits, Kim had briefly touched base on it. Has anybody corresponded with the Board of Ed to see how that would negatively affect them? And not only does it negatively affect the Board of Ed, but when they're talking about taxes, Kim did touch base on that we're not paying our share. What that does, it doesn't only allow the school district to increase your taxes by 2%, but it's actually mandated by the state to increase it by 2%. So you're really talking about a 4% tax increase going to your citizens, not because it's a want, but because it's a need and a legality purpose. So every time you give a tax habit to it, you can offset yours and show a zero tax increase by the city. The school district, however, cannot because we're mandated by the state to put a 2% tax increase. So even if you're deferring your end, the taxpayers are still getting their end. Then we also have to make up for any shortcomings on top of that because it also negatively affects us on what's being allowed to be funded to the districts. So it's a multiple stage indirect consequences of your decisions. So when you're doing any type of tax habit, not just this, I think there should be at least a correspondence going to the school district. Pretty much that's it. I mean, everybody else is going through it. I like the track. I have no problem. I've supported the track in many times. I don't see why the need is for at this point. I also don't see what the responsibility is for us to support a business, any business, for 15 to 30 years, especially without having a cost analysis of positive outcome. You know, if you can go over something that says, okay, they've done X amount of dollars, they've raised this business was directly able to open it, creating X amount of jobs. But minimum jobs, minimum taxes over a long time does not create a huge benefit. And again, I like the track. I don't see a reason they should go anywhere, but I also don't see why we have to directly support them. If they do want to get some type of compensation, why don't we see some direct compensation back? Anybody who shows a ticket or anybody who is a member of them go to any local business, they get a 10% discount, the racetrack will reimburse that business at 10%. See, get something that the citizens or local business will have a direct correlation to a positive offset. And I don't see a positive offset at this point. I also don't see the urgency in 2.5 years when it can happen within 30 days. So I urge everybody up there to vote no on both ordinances tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Good evening. My name's Kathy D'Amico. I live on Cloris Avenue in Millville. I'm actually here for my mother, who's 84 years old, and she's physically a prisoner in her own house. Reason being is Commissioner Cooper, Mayor Santiago, I know you are both aware of it. I've sent you tons of pictures, and I know of the streets in front of her house, and I even brought them along with me tonight. I know the streets are starting to get worked on. Literally, she had water main breaks on her street back in 2016. We're now 3 years later. There's actually no asphalt in front of her house for a good 20 feet, probably 10 feet out. It's dirt. There's grooves that deep. Can't get a walker through it. Can't get a wheelchair through it. She fell recently in July. I had to call 911 because I could not get her out of the house. I pleaded with Cooper to get something done with the street. It's been delayed. Last year I was told they were waiting on a grant. I was told they got the grant in April. Work was going to start. I'm glad to see finally in the past month that it has, but then I hear all this stuff about $650,000 a year they're not getting from the motorsports park. And I think to myself, in all these past years, had we had that money, maybe we could have fixed this road and we wouldn't be in this spot. So I'm just here tonight to please urge you to vote no and to not think about the corporation and to help them, but to maybe help your citizens of Millville who are here for you and paying their taxes for you, for this city that we all love. I've been here 24 years. I'm not planning on going anywhere, but every year I see the city getting worse and worse and worse. Our roads are getting worse. I don't see the motorsports park do anything to help with the roads. All their transporters drive over all of them, but still, they're crappy. They're crappy all over. So please, think about that. Think about us citizens. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Hi, Robert McQuaid, also school board member. Sorry for wearing a tank top. I wasn't planning on coming, but I'm just like you. But I do. We also have a track that is in need of being repaired. It's our track out on Wheaton Field, and Wheaton Field also needs to be repaired. We're looking for AstroTurf for that, but we can't afford that. The Vinelands football field looks beautiful compared to ours, and we do need a new running track. So can I have an abatement to get that? For our track. And Joe, you kept me out of trouble a lot. Even when I got friggin' 4 papers for free, 4 pages for free and the reminder for Gentile, and he didn't like it. But you fought for me to do that. Now, fight for the kids. And Bruce, you stuck up for me too, and you're always on my side. So I know you'll do the right thing, because you were at that field on Olympic Day, and it did have some ruts on it, and the track is in bad shape. But I also was a part of the Green Flag Committee when the race car track first came. And I don't know what happened, Don. You never invited me back or anything. I went out a couple times. I went out to Wheaton Village. They had 2 NASCAR drivers that were there. I said something. I guess nobody liked it, and nobody invited me back. And then the race car drivers never came back. Now I feel shunned from the race car track. And you told me to call you Uncle Don. So I'm calling you Uncle Don. Why was I shunned? I really, because you never sent me emails or nothing else back on that. I feel personally you guys need to look at food processing plants, such as like Luca Freezer, which is now Agro. If you don't know, Walmart went there. They did look at Millville, but Millville doesn't have anything. They went there to Agro, and there's the Walmart distribution center for produce and fish there. And there are trucks, and there is hundreds of people working there, just as much as what's in the glass house. So what you need to do is give abatements to frozen food facilities, cold storages, and get them in them industrial parks. That'll give us the revenue that we need, and give us the revenue that we need for our school system. Because these kids are our future of America, our future of Millville. And I do a lot of volunteer work, and I never ask a penny for it at all. So I don't know what more to say, because the other board members have said a lot. I just want to let you know that all our sport fields are in distress. They you know that, Joe, and and Bruce knows it. So we really need that, and I'm just asking you, think about it.
Thank you, Bob.
Good evening. Carmen DiGiacinto, Millville, U.S. Army veteran, former aviator, parachutist. When I moved to Millville about 32 years ago from Atlantic City, I basically moved to a sanctuary city to get out of the high crime area I want that sanctuary city back. We as Americans, we're very generous people. We think with our hearts instead of with our heads. We give way too much away. You talked about ovarian cancer earlier. We lost 58,000 men in a 10-year war in Vietnam. We lost 70,000 kids last year to opioid abuse. 3 grains of salt, of fentanyl, can kill a horse. That all comes across, most of it, 95%, across our southern border. Now, for you people that want open borders, that means guns come across, human trafficking, everything. It doesn't make our neighborhoods safe, okay? But yet we want to give sanctuary cities away to people that don't belong here. Well, we're all American taxpayer citizens in here, and I want my sanctuary city back that I moved to. Cindy, I live on your street. 30 years ago, I never had to lock my door or lock my cars. Now I got security cameras all over the place to protect my cars, to protect my home, my children, my family, my property. And to give so much away doesn't make us any safer, okay? I just want my sanctuary city back. It was General Anazay that said, let's not get stuck on stupid. And that's where I think we are today. We're too much in this country, we're stuck on stupid. And if we just give our inheritance away, give too much away of what our fathers, my father fought in Korea, my uncles in World War II. We inherited this, that flag, what they fought for, and we just give it away. My black kids are going to be moved to the back of the bus from kids from Central America to come here to take their jobs that will work for less money and work harder. It makes no sense. So I think we need to get off of being stuck on stupid and start doing things that make sense. I give to the community. I pull $3,500 out of my pocket. I have a business in Atlantic City. Robert, you could verify that, to redo the JV field. I had volunteers out there. We're sweating in the middle of July 2 years ago to do that. The school board didn't have the money to do it. My son's coming home from a baseball game with half the flesh missing off of his thigh there because of that. They're playing on substandard fields. So I think, Mr. Cooper, you need to look into CRDA money, Casino Reinvestment Development money. We give money. They give money to Newark, Trenton, Camden, $10 million for an ice skate rink that never got built. Nobody knows where the money went. Crazy things. I mean, we can get that CRDA money. I was at the school board meeting last night. Let's look for the CRDA money. And if the racetrack needs money, go down to CRDA and try to get some CRDA money. That's it. I keep it short and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. Why are we throwing money at a losing project?
Ma'am, can you give us your name and address, please?
Kay White. I'm actually from Commercial Township, but I was born and raised in Millville. And if you want to spend money, why don't you go look for some industry that's going to bring some real jobs to this city? That's what we need. We don't have anything. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Kay.
Good evening. My name is Chrissy Kozar, and I actually live in Washington Township. I'm not a Millville resident. So thank you for the opportunity of being able to speak to you this evening. Obviously, the contract that you drew up, the 15-year contract, you are looking to open now to add an extension to it. So you've got a couple of options. You can open it and extend it. You can leave it and let it run its course. Or you can actually simply open it and rescind the current abatement and have tax money coming back into your community now rather than wait until the end of the contract or extending it for 15 years. It's your choice.
Thank you. Listen.
Hello, I'm Bob Balicki, Main Street in Millville.
I really didn't like the tone of some of the people, and I commend those who were professional and polite, but some people were condescending. And it reminded me of other issues where we had a lot of condescending people against it. And I want people to think about where we would be. One of the topics is the prisons. I retired from the prison. The county gets from the employees $300 million a year in their salaries that they spend here, and they buy houses and they buy food. But people are against the prisons with no other options either. They don't have an option to the prisons. The Levoy, I couldn't believe somebody said something against the Levoy. That is something to be so proud of in this town. And you constantly come into town and see it's packed with cars. They're eating in the restaurants. They're shopping around here. And the Levoy is another example. I remember all of the terrible comments that were made and people being against it. The restaurants would not be here, most of them, without the motorsports park. I volunteered there for many years, so I recognize people who were coming from out of town to Millville and then coming into town shopping, or going into the art district, or going into restaurants, and it's a significant amount of people. If you talk to the people that own the restaurants around here, you'll find that they are very much in favor of this track. Other businesses also. The technical school. People were against the technical school because they didn't want increased traffic on Route 47. Well, I don't know about you, but I didn't really notice anything. And the school is a huge success. There are not enough seats, and more people want to get in there than they can have. And they're bringing a different kind of training to Millville and Cumberland County that we didn't have before. So I'd like people to stop being so negative, although I know that's not going to happen. And just imagine if we didn't have the track, and we didn't have the Levoy, and we didn't have the people that work at the prisons, and we didn't have all these restaurants, what would downtown Millville look like? So I think we need to really thank a lot of the people and businesses that contribute to this community, and I'm for the abatement. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Hi, Cindy Cook, Millville. I've only got questions mainly because there's a lot I don't understand. One of my questions is I keep hearing what they actually do for us as citizens. I personally, as a citizen of Millville, get nothing in the way of a benefit in terms of anything from the racetrack. I cannot sleep upstairs when they're racing. When they have their night, I go downstairs because I'm not against them. So I just go downstairs. You've never heard me complain about that. But I called over there. I made a point of getting some information. There's no way that a citizen of Millville can buy a membership over there to use their facilities. Right. Did you know that? That's wrong. If my tax dollars are going up because they're not paying theirs. Now, I'm from the South, okay? And I'm telling you, the South, the businesses take care of the residents. You go to North Augusta, South Carolina, right across the Augusta-Georgia border, you will see one of the most beautiful recreation facilities. It's got an indoor pool. It's got basketball courts indoors. It's got acres and acres. It's on a river where the people kayak. As a matter of fact, one year the Olympics had their snorkeling event on that river. Citizens pay not a dime to go there. Businesses pay for it. So, Riverwinds, for years, the residents of West Everett didn't have to pay a membership at Riverwinds. Businesses pay. I want to know what is this facility that is not paying any taxes giving to me and my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. That's it. Seeing no one else, I close the public.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a comment at this time, or would you
Yeah,
prefer
go
me
ahead.
to hold
Go
that
ahead,
until after
Commissioner.
the close?
But it's closed at this point. Go ahead.
Upon the first reading of the ordinance of the First Amendment to the financial agreement between New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal, LLC, and the City of Millville to extend the pilot agreement for a period of 30 years on July 16, 2019, the Commission has had the opportunity to receive and consider significant public feedback. Additionally, I've received numerous questions seeking clarification into the existing financial agreement and the structure for the prospective amendment. I have assessed that it is essential to not only provide responses from our CFO, but to also express my understanding and answer the questions provided by the public at the July 16th meeting. Utilizing information provided by the Chief Financial Officer and the reports generated by the tax collector for the City of Millville, it is imperative that the Commission and our City Solicitor clarify that New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal is, in fact, responsible for providing payment of land tax that is included in the current annual payment in lieu of taxes, otherwise known as the pilot. Of the $175,000 annual payment provided by the current agreement through December 2023, the land tax that is subject to collection by the local school board, county, and municipality is deducted from the total amount and allocated accordingly. Utilizing a report generated by the City of Millville tax collector for first through fourth quarters in 2018, the net tax billed to New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal, LLC, in the amount of $103,697.82 was allocated in the following amounts: $25,547.40 to the local school board, $39,152.16 to the county, and $38,998.26 to the municipality.
Commissioner.
It's information that I had gleaned from her tax collector's report, and I would be happy to provide it only because I believe that the public is due the explanation from us.
Okay, very good.
And one that was provided via questions from Tim Carney.
So you got the
at July
information
16th.
from our CFO, Marcy. Okay.
It is public information. It was included on a tax collector's
Very good.
report.
Thank you.
Additional streams of revenue in the form of real estate taxes from private owners of villas and exotic car garages within the airport redevelopment area and the New Jersey Motorsports Park, other than the corporate New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal, are represented on the generated report from the tax collector and are not exempt from paying ad valorem taxes that are apportioned to the local school board, county, and municipality. As of the end of 2018, 32 properties matching the description of exotic car garages or villas were billed the following amounts in property taxes: approximately $40,508.15 to the local school board, approximately $62,079.96 to the county, and approximately $61,835.94 to the municipality. The context through which the residents expressed concern pertains to the development of New Jersey Motorsports Park proper and the assessed tax for those improvements. One repair garage under private ownership was also listed on the generated report by the CFO and tax collector as having been billed taxes in 2018 in the following amounts: $6,887.34 to the local school board, $10,555.06 to the county, and $10,513.57 to the municipality. Please be advised that the figures referred to as private owners denotes that New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal does not own or pay the property taxes on the aforementioned units. This explanation is provided to respond to a previous question voiced by the public that inquires into whether or not residential or privately owned units are included in the tax abatement, which is refuted by the evidence that the property taxes from each unit are apportioned to the local school board, county, and municipality as per requirements of all residential properties in the City of Millville. The purpose for providing the aforementioned facts and figures derived from the 2018 tax collector's report is to provide a baseline for a recent and complete annual land tax bill to New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal to explain the allocation of taxes that are paid to the local school board, county, and municipality from the pilot, and to answer the questions of residents inquiring whether an amount is currently paid to the county and school board from the pilot. Please note that figures presented in 2019 may illustrate an increase based on the tax rate, as well as any variations in increased values of property pertaining to developments of the privately owned properties in the development area. Having considered the responses to questions from citizens voicing concern pertaining to taxes provided to the school board and county through the pilot, it is imperative that the city, namely the department containing economic development, provide an explanation regarding the instatement or extension of a pilot. Local redevelopment and housing law allows a municipality to adopt a pilot, which is a payment in lieu of taxes, to support not only new businesses, but also existing businesses that seek to bolster economic development through expansion and capital investment. As explained by our city solicitor, a pilot is a process of taking into account of the balancing of the equities in order to consider gains to the municipality and conditions under which a business can continue to operate or expand. Prior to 2004, the land owned by the city that was later developed by New Jersey Motorsports Park did not provide land taxes to either the municipality, county, or local school board. Through the payment of land taxes, the city, county, and school board now collect amounts as previously mentioned by the figures I retrieved from the tax collector's generated report that did not exist prior to 2004. The prospective construction of new garages and additional taxable properties that will not only provide revenue to the municipality through permits and inspections, but also increases the property taxes anticipated to be paid to the county, municipality, and local school board is a key component in identifying the rationale for an extended financial agreement in the form of a pilot. Recently provided through the form of a public meeting of the Planning Board, the city recognized the efforts of New Jersey Motorsports Park's investment in prospective capital projects, such as solar array construction that represents an inherently beneficial land use and demonstrates an effort to foster financial sustainability when seasonal operations increase and utility usage is at its peak. The effort to promote longevity and sustainability of operations was noted at the public meeting and seeks to demonstrate the investment in the capital for the redevelopment area. In addition to considering the relevance of utilizing the pilot for redevelopment purposes, it is necessary for the city to examine that the land tax included within the original annual amount of $175,000 for years 1 through 15 includes the land tax that is apportioned to the local school board, county, and municipality in contradiction to recent interpretations of the pilot. The redevelopment area at New Jersey Motorsports Park, while encompassing a vast area, does not include exemptions for the units labeled villas and car garages for private owners and requires property owners to pay taxes to the local school board, county, and municipality. However, the unique location and seasonal nature of these units provides tax revenues without the characteristic of a densely populated neighborhood or development that inundates our local schools with a high population of students. Observing the views and opinions expressed by each of our residents who have taken the time to provide questions or evaluations, I provide this information in order to clarify and explain. My respect for the citizens of Millville provides that I share this data merely in an effort to inform without attempting to persuade. Taking into account the feedback provided since July 16th, I will vote against adopting the ordinance on second reading represented by item 4 that outlines an amendment to the pilot extending for an additional 15 years for a total of 30 years at this time. Item 2 on this evening's agenda to be presented for first reading, providing an amendment to extend for an additional 10 years for a total of 25 years, presents an option that will be available for consideration and subsequently subject to public feedback at a later date if approved on first reading. Considering the information that we've been imparted from local school board members, I would implore at this time that the Commission consider a process of either entering into a public feedback phase as per recommendations of our city solicitor in order to ensure that all of those regulations and all of the factors have been considered properly, or to pass on first reading so that the second reading, where we have our public feedback, would be another opportunity for the community to once again chime in with their opinions, with their evaluations, but also for our legal counsel to identify any areas in which the city and the municipality can possibly in any way improve this pilot agreement or the extension thereof in order to benefit all of our residents. In addition, I will require additional information from New Jersey Motorsports Park to explain how a period for extension was chosen, The financial rationale or established timeline for development that requires additional time, and the rationale for determining the reason for the Commission considering amendment in 2019 or 2020 before providing my approval for a pilot extension after December 2023. I will respectfully utilize the public hearing and public comment portion to listen to the concerns of citizens in attendance as we continue consideration for this item through due process. One of the items that I feel is of the utmost importance in regard to economic development is ensuring that if we should extend a pilot agreement for any business, that we understand the criteria by which and we understand the rationale by which we adopt that. And with the conclusion of that comment, Mr. Mayor, progress.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments?
Yes, if I may, Mr. Mayor. I personally have had meetings with Motorsports Park twice since I've been back. They understand my position in reference to 30 years or 20 years or 15 years, that I would not support any of that. They got it directly from me. I am still waiting to hear a report from them to tell us exactly what their goals are and why they need some form of extension. And I made that perfectly clear. At this time, I think I will call on Marcy for some updates. It's important that we get it directly from the CFO. You have to excuse my voice. I'm limited to how much I can talk. Mr. Hewitt might be very happy about that right now. But I think that it is important to get some numbers from Marcy, who's our CFO, certified, an outstanding CFO, well-respected throughout the state of New Jersey. And we are extremely pleased to have Marcy with us. She is a great CFO and a great employee. Marcy, would you just go through some of those
Right. This morning
numbers,
I met
please?
with Commissioner Udalvis, and all the numbers that she reported in her statement are all the numbers that she reported in her statement are the numbers that I have here. I also met with the tax collector and the tax assessor to make sure that I was looking at the numbers correctly. So my understanding is Motorsports Park is going to be providing a large visual for us to see the numbers. But in total, I have that out of all the properties that was included in that agreement back in 2004, $358,036.56 is what was paid in 2018. And as the commissioner noted, the city share was $174,508.14. The county was $111,060.02, and the school share was $72,468.40. And as Commissioner noted, some of the properties are being paid by the property owners, not New Jersey Motorsports Park. So the total coming from Motorsports Park is $179,862.51. The villas, $57,084.34. Exotic car garages is about $92,000, and then 47 race shop, $27,955.96. That totals $358,036.56. I can put this on our website tomorrow so that everyone can look at these numbers, and we can provide you the lots, how much they're assessed at, how much they're paying. So my responsibility is just to report the numbers, and if anybody wants to know how I came up with the numbers, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
I want to thank you, Marcy. Again, there's been a number of meetings in the finance department with Marcy. Also, I've always asked the commissioners, if you have any questions, please go down and talk to the CFO. Make sure that you have the exact numbers that is going out there. That a lot of things are being said by people maybe that just totally do not understand how much is brought in by motorsports. We can all disagree on the length and the program and all of that, but they do put in money with tax dollars into the city. But again, Marcy, I want to thank you. We are putting it on the website. If you have any further questions or things that you would like to discuss, we will be available. At least Marcy will. She can still talk. So again, Marcy, I just want to thank you. And you're getting it from the CFO.
It's either me, the tax collector, the tax assessor. We all have the same information.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marcy. Any other commissioner wants to speak?
Yes, Mayor. Great deal of wisdom was shared tonight by the people in this room, and I'm grateful that you came out and shared that information with me. As usual, Ashley could say things in a way that are extremely, at least for me sometimes, I understand it, but I have to reprocess it in my mind. I'm grateful that the track is here. I know that the track has brought revenue to the city. However, there's things that I don't understand quite well enough to move ahead and support an abatement. I will review this meeting myself just to hear again the points that the people made in this room. I totally understand it. Again, being an educator, I do understand the impact that has on education, but I need to be more certain. I think Ms. Broomall made a point to say, unless you really know, you shouldn't support this. And to be honest with you, I'm not as versed as well as I would like to be to move ahead and support an abatement. I'm not saying that I won't in the future as I understand all the information for it to be what I understand it to be. In addition, I would like the information in more detail and more simplistically provided for the public so they could have an understanding to say, okay, we understand why the commission is moving in this direction. But I wanted to share that, and again, thank the individuals who came this evening to share their feelings on thoughts on this issue. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to say I want to thank you all for coming out tonight and expressing your feelings about this abatement. The passion that was observed in the room did not go. We did not overlook it. So we just want to thank you. I know myself. I want to thank you for coming out and expressing how you feel about this. I heard a lot of things tonight that I have not heard in the past several weeks about this issue. And, yeah, I mean, hey, we all, three of us came from the Board of Education, and we still strongly, we feel strongly about the children and how they're affected by this situation. I love the racetrack. I'm sure a lot of you guys love them too. And what they're doing, I believe that they're doing great things over there. However, I also do believe that we may need more information just to make sure that we make the right decision, because this decision is not about us. This is about all of us. So with that, I'd like to explore more information myself.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor, you got anything to say? Yeah. Can you get
There's a roll call. I have a motion and a second. I just need to do a roll call vote.
A roll call.
Okay.
Yes, in favor. What are we voting on?
Okay. Commissioner Pepitone.
No.
Vice Mayor Parent. Vice Mayor Parent.
Yeah, I make sure that what we're voting on.
Okay.
You want to read
this was an ordinance
again,
approving.
The ordinance.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sure. This is an ordinance approving First Amendment to financial agreement between the New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal LLC and the City of Millville to accept the exemption from local taxation of the land and improvements for a period of 30 years. We had a motion by Vice Mayor Parent and a second by Commissioner Pepitone. We had our public hearing. Commissioner Pepitone voted no. Vice Mayor Parent?
No.
Commissioner Udalvis?
No.
Commissioner Cooper?
No.
Mayor Santiago?
No.
Okay, motion failed.
Madam Clerk, can we roll on ordinances on first reading, please?
Okay, we have an ordinance amending the City of Millville Municipal Code, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 14, Disbursement of Funds, subsection 2-54, approval of the Board of Commissioners, adding language authorizing Chief Financial Officer for payment of bills due to lack of a quorum or other circumstances.
Jim?
Mr. Mayor, I move to pass this proposed ordinance on first reading, final consideration September 3rd, after due publication provided for by law.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah. No.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 2 is an ordinance approving First Amendment to financial agreement between the New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal LLC and the City of Millville to extend the exemption from local taxation of the land and improvements for a period of 25 years.
Mr. Mayor, move this proposed ordinance on second and final reading, or first reading with final consideration to be given on March 3rd after due publication provided for by law. first reading?
September 3rd.
September 3rd.
September 3rd, 2019. Wait.
I need a second. No second?
You have to read it again for me because I want to make sure.
Okay, item 2 is an ordinance approving First Amendment to financial agreement between the New Jersey Motorsports Park Urban Renewal LLC and the City of Millville to extend the exemption from local taxation of the land and improvements for a period of 25 years.
No.
Okay, so
But was that second? I know that
I did get a, I did not
that's
get a
what we need
second on the motion.
From
So
Commissioner
anyone?
Second motion.
Pepitone.
Well, you made a
Hold on a second.
The motion.
Yeah, we got it.
Second the motion to bring it to vote.
And now, if we may, for a
Thank you.
comment as a point of clarification
Go
for
ahead.
our city solicitor, one of the questions that I had is, I know that when we have an ordinance on first reading, that in order to examine that, and I feel that one of the breakdowns in terms of previous discussions regarding the pilot is that the meeting should be placed in an open forum so that the public can, in fact, hear from the motorsports park, understand the rationale, the criteria. Taking all of this into consideration, if the commission were to decide not to consider this at the September 3rd meeting for a second and final reading that would include a public hearing phase, would the public have the opportunity from the New Jersey Motorsports Park to have that open forum where they can, number one, ask questions, receive answers, and also receive information from the New Jersey Motorsports Park regarding the questions that the commission itself has?
It would have to be advertised.
Well, yeah, I think it's difficult because if you introduce this, then you're going to be stuck with the public
We
hearing.
have to
like you
advertise
have.
for a
Yeah.
public hearing, and that would require.
What if they're here now and we would like for them to take the mic?
In terms of one of the items is what is
Yes or no?
in terms of the discretion of the commission, do we have an option to have a presentation item in lieu of a reading for the second reading of the ordinance?
I don't think
on
you
the
can do it
September
in
3rd
lieu of
meeting?
the second reading, but I think you could
In
table
addition
this
to.
and you could have a public hearing.
In addition to, you could
Yeah.
table it.
So explain that to me again, Mr. Attorney.
Well, you know, if you introduce this, I think you have to have the
public hearing.
second reading and the public hearing. If you want to do something else, if you want to have some type of a forum or something like that,
It should be tabled.
then I think you probably should table this and then schedule that informal, hearing where, questions could be asked and answered
Like a special
by the
meeting
racetrack.
to discuss this
Yeah.
particular topic.
Because in regard to this issue, also, if there were to be any changes that were not deemed ancillary, if they were substantial changes to the ordinance in terms of the duration or the term for years 1 through 5 or whatever the subsequent schedule would be, if there were changes to it, it would have to be reintroduced on a first ordinance. It could not be passed on that second
Well,
ordinance.
that's why if you're going to do that, I would not recommend introducing this because then if you change it, you're going to have to do it all over
All
again.
over again.
If you're going to have a public hearing where you're going to get input from the public, it's
Yes.
probably better to table this,
Right.
have that informal hearing, and then after you know what you're going to do, then you introduce.
You could table it to the second meeting in September and have the first meeting in September for a work session where the public could come and discuss in a regular scheduling meeting if you
When
wanted
New Jersey
to.
Motorsports Park could also provide the rationale to some of the
Right, at the
questions.
September
now,
3rd meeting.
in respect to that, in terms of we already have a first and a second, the cleanest way for our city clerk in order to at least clear the board would the best course of action be to vote on this item, to vote it down, and then to create another motion
Make
in
a
order
motion
to table it?
to table it to the. You didn't have to set the date, so it would be like the second meeting in September. That way, you can hold a meeting for the public to talk about it, and the first meeting in September at the work session if you wanted to.
I think what we want to try to do is make sure the public has input, no matter how we vote, whether we were to table this or we move it again to September 3rd, that we still have to hear from motorsports. I think we all want to hear from them. They're here this evening, and I don't know if it would be proper at this point to have them speak, or you want them to speak at the end of the meetings,
Well, it's up to them whether they want to speak during the public comment section.
I would
but it
like-
might be better if you may want to table this and then invite them to come to the next meeting on the 3rd and have some type of forum and then invite people to come.
I think they're prepared to have
Yeah.
a forum this evening, so I think that's where we are, because I see them in the audience. You're prepared to speak this evening or not? No. Okay, that's what we wanted to know. Okay, I don't want to put you on a spot because I know you're here, so you would want to come to the September 3rd meeting to discuss everything and your side of the story. Is that where we're at? You don't mind if I ask that question, do you,
No,
sir?
no, no. And I think if that's what you're going to do, Mr. Vice Mayor, I think that the ordinance for first reading should be tabled.
You can't talk. You can't stand up.
It should be tabled until September 3rd.
I think that's just so important to both sides. You know, to be more prepared. You heard the people speak. You heard our side of it. There's numbers that were given out there by the finance department. You know, that's where we are right now. So maybe the September 3rd. You guys want to come back September 3rd and address your side of it? We all want to hear it, including the citizens of Millville. So that's where we are, okay, at this point in time.
So, Mr. Solicitor, so we're going to table ordinance reading item number 2. Is that what we're doing?
Yes, because if you have to table it to a specific date, but if you tabled it to the next meeting, which is the 3rd, and you had a public hearing, an informal public hearing, and you decided that you wanted to amend the ordinance, you can do it because it hasn't been introduced yet.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So that would be my suggestion.
So, Mr. Mayor, I move that we table this ordinance on first reading.
Hold on a second.
We have to take a vote.
Yes, we got to take a vote first. The motion
okay.
down.
Commissioner Pepitone?
No.
Vice Mayor Parent?
No.
Commissioner Udalvis?
No.
Commissioner Cooper?
No.
Mayor Santiago?
No.
Okay, motion fails.
You want the motion now?
Now we need a motion now to table it.
Mr. Mayor, move motion we table the ordinance.
You voted it down, so I think it's too late to table it.
The first and the second was already made. We did have to.
It could be reintroduced later.
Right.
So we'll reintroduce it on the 3rd of September.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
do that. You have to make that.
So the public understands that a presentation will be made by the Motorsports Park on the 3rd?
On the 3rd, I think the commission's inviting the motorsports park and inviting the public.
Exactly, so they all know.
Does anything.
Yeah, so I'm sorry you're going to have to come
Regular
back,
meeting.
folks, but I think, you know, you want to hear their side.
Regular
and,
meeting.
And still have an
meeting.
opportunity to voice your
Regular
opinion,
meeting.
okay?
Got it.
I think everybody can work with that, I hope. Okay, thank you.
All right. Now we're all through that, City Clerk?
Yes, sir.
All right, resolutions.
A resolution authorizing $22,580.70 in second-generation urban enterprise zone funds to be provided to the Millville Vineland Enterprise Zone Development Corporation for annual funding for July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
Mr. Mayor, with that, I have certification of availability of funds in the amount of $22,580.70 from Chief Financial Officer Marcella Shepard, and I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
It does require a public hearing.
Is there a public hearing on that?
So this is resolution number 1. It's a public hearing. Anyone that would like to speak on the $22,580.70 second-generation urban enterprise funds to be provided to the Millville Vineland Enterprise Zone, please step up to the mic, state your name and your concerns, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
That's required.
Seeing no one, I close resolution item number 1. Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 2 is a resolution approving request for performance guarantee release as submitted by the city engineer in compliance with NJSA 40:55D-53 Municipal Land Use Law for East Side Investments LLC to release their performance guarantee in the amount of $25,000 for site improvements on Block 527, lots 13 and 15. There was a typo in the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing shared services agreement between the City of Millville, City of Bridgeton, City of Vineland, and County of Cumberland for submission of joint application by the City of Vineland, lead entity, for Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, as funds have been made available in the amount of $82,671.
Folks, take your meeting outside, please.
Distributed as follows.
Thank you.
City of Vineland, $32,165. City of Millville, $18,062. City of Bridgeton, $25,417. And Cumberland County, $7,027.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the insertion of an additional item of revenue in the calendar year 2019 budget, which is now available as revenue from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety Safe and Secure Communities Program in the amount of $90,000.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 5 is a resolution approving military leave of absence and payment of pay differential due to a call-up of active military duty in the Air Force for Brian Day for the following dates: 7/3 to 8/2, 8/5 to 8/8, 8/12 to 8/15, 8/20 to 8/22.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 6 is a resolution authorizing First Amendment to third-party agreement between the Municipal Code Enforcement and the City of Millville for an additional amount of $9,200 for a total not to exceed amount of $15,200, and also to provide certain required language and insurance requirements, which was inadvertently omitted in the original contract.
Mr. Mayor, with that, I have certification of availability of funds from Chief Financial Officer Marcella Shepard in the amount of $9,200, and I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 7 is a resolution authorizing adjustments in the tax and utility records.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 8 is a resolution authorizing change order number 1 for a project entitled 6th Street Road Reconstruction with Charles Marandino, not South State. There was a typographical error, for an additional amount of $14,303.93.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I have a certification of availability of funds from Marcella Shepard, Chief Financial Officer, in the amount of $14,303.93. Move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 9 is a resolution authorizing amendment to contract for fireworks display by Pyrotechnico of Vineland, approved by Resolution Number 102-2019 on April 2nd, 2019, rescheduling date and place of fireworks display to be held on September 2nd, 2019 at 9 p.m. at Union Lake Park, subject to any conditions as set forth by the fire official and the approval of same.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I have availability of funds from our Chief Financial Officer, Marcella Shepard, in the amount of $12,500. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 10 is a resolution authorizing special assessment of municipal liens for certain properties due to expenses incurred by the City of Millville relating to board and secure plus administrative fees in accordance with Chapter 11, Article 1, subsection 11-6 of the Municipal Code.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 11 is a resolution authorizing a professional service contract with Holly City Development Corporation to perform consulting services in connection with the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs 2019 Neighborhood Preservation Program grant.
Mr. Mayor, with that, I have certification of availability of funds in the amount of $16,666.08 from Chief Financial Officer Marcella Shepard, and I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 12 is a resolution authorizing access agreement to Marathon Engineering for temporary access to 511 Buck Street.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 13 is a resolution authorizing special assessment of municipal liens for certain properties due to expenses incurred by the City of Millville relating to cut and clean plus administrative fees in accordance with Chapter 11, Article 1, subsection 11-6 of the Municipal Code.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 14 is a resolution authorizing First Amendment to professional service contract with ACOM USA Incorporated for continued services pertaining to the Phase 2 upgrade of the wastewater treatment plant, amending language in the contract, revising the standard of care provision and terms of payment provision.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion. Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 15 is a resolution authorizing August 2019 amendment to the standard professional service contract between the City of Millville and GEI Consultants for ongoing environmental remediation at the site for design and planning work pertaining to the demolition of the electroplating building in the amount not to exceed $17,526, with the City of Millville's 15% share of the cost as a member of the PRP group, which shall not exceed $2,588.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I have a certification of availability of funds from Marcella Shepard, Chief Financial Officer, in the amount of $2,588. Move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion. Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 16 is a resolution authorizing a professional service contract with GPM Associates to provide services in connection with completing and filing the required documents to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and prepare a formal revision and update the water quality parameter plan for optimal sampling in the amount not to exceed $2,400.
Mr. Mayor, with that, I have a certification of availability of funds from Marcella Shepard, Chief Financial Officer, in the amount of $2,400, and move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion. Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 17 is a resolution authorizing an emergency appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-46 for additional fire department appropriation to provide emergency services with respect to EMS calls.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
New business.
Okay.
Motion to authorize the following social affair permit on behalf of the Millville Elks Lodge, number 580, on September 8th, 2019, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. On behalf of the Rowan College of South Jersey, to hold a social affair permit for an art retail shop on September 20th, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Arts and Innovation Center, 321 High Street.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
I want to make a motion to authorize the city clerk to advertise for requests for proposals for professional services for the Orange Street Water Tower rehabilitation plans, bid specifications, and inspection services, with said proposals to be returned to the purchasing board on September 19, 2019 at 10 a.m. at Richard C. McCarthy Commission Chamber, 4th floor, in City Hall.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
We've now reached the public comment portion of our meeting. Anyone would like to address this commission, please go to the podium, state your name, and address your concerns, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Commissioners, because I felt that you at least tried. And I haven't felt that way since you took office. So it was really important for me to feel that you at least tried, at least for now. But I'm going to be watching. I request that you ask Ms. Shepard if one of the numbers that she could provide us at that meeting, or maybe if we could email you to ask questions to her, but one of the things I'd like to know is any payments that they owe us for anything, water, sewer, their pilot payments, their other tax payments, their bankruptcy payments, anything that they owe us, if it could be documented, have they been made in full and on time? If they haven't, how many have been late? Those types of things. You know, just so we can see how responsible, we can use it as a factor in how responsible, because, you know, Ms. Shepard gave us 2018 numbers, and I'm sure she didn't want to go through, you know, a decade plus worth of numbers. But it is important when making this decision to see what they owe us, what we've spent, our investment, because anything is, I've been on the CBG Community Block Development Grant Board before. And whenever I had to make decisions for who and how much somebody would get, my factor always was, what's the return on our investment? So if we have to, the shelter, right, our contribution to the county shelter, well, we get a return on that, right? One is they're, housing our homeless. They're helping here to provide housing. That's a return. So that to me is always important when I think about money, whether it's for anything, right? If I go into the grocery store and I want to buy a loaf of bread and Sara Lee is 99 cents, but, Wonder Bread's $1.99, it's the same bread. What am I going to get for my $1 or my $2? So that's important. What are we going to continue in the future? Not that we've already gotten, but what in the future? These are questions that are going to need to be answered. And I would hope that you would try, because again, I'm grateful that you struck down the second reading, and I'm grateful that you struck down the first reading of the next one, although I am aware that it's probably going to get put back on again. But I'm grateful. I feel that you listen. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Brumal, we would be more than happy to provide you with that information. I don't think she has to have an Oprah request, or anything like that. Our assessor and our chief financial officer could get you that information.
Thank you.
Okay, just let her know what you need.
Yes, sir.
And look, folks, whatever you need, let us know. We're going to give you the numbers, and you can do what you want to do. We will give you those numbers that we have. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
John Worthington, Millville. I'm glad to see that the 30-year abatement has been shot down. Not happy with 25 either, and I'm hoping we can talk about that further. But I've been accused by some members of the track here of wanting the track to close down. I was against the track from the start. It should have never been built there, but that's water under the bridge now. Now we put 11 years of investment in, we spent millions of dollars. I want to see them pay us back. So that's far from the truth that I don't think anybody wants to see the track closed. We want our return on our investment at this point. Commissioner Udavalis and the CFO gave us a lot of numbers that, frankly, we probably would have been better having 2 weeks ago, so we could have prepared better for this meeting. But it seems like there's a lot of commingling and juggling and going on. There's private condos are paying this much, and private garages are paying that much. I don't care what they're paying. They're supposed to pay. I care what the racetrack is paying. Commissioner Pepitone, you said that the track is bringing revenue to the city, and you use that as a justification for extending their abatement. Well, they're supposed to bring in revenue to the city. They're supposed to pay their taxes.
I just wanted to make that point.
Well, I understand that, but that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to pay their taxes. None of that is an excuse to give them a further abatement. They had their abatement. They had 15 years. We don't need to keep pumping more money into them. And I'll be interested to see the web pages, the figures on the web page tomorrow. And just one final comment, Commissioner Parent, you had said that you'd be happy, you're always happy to give us numbers, and anyone on the board is. But I know I emailed members of the board several times personally, and I know other people emailed members of the board for information on this, and none of us got our emails returned. So that's not as forthcoming as I would have hoped to be able to prepare for this meeting.
All you have to do is contact the chief financial officer, and she will provide you with all the information that you need. And as far as 25 years, I'm opposed to that too. Okay, just for the record. All right.
Thank you.
Don Cardy, Millville again. I want to thank you all for turning down the 30-year. As you well know, Commissioner Parent is a little older than me. Mr. Santiago is just nudging under me. But there are 3 of you up there that have children. maybe in the school system. And I hear so much, and I want you three to go out, the three young ones, and talk to the seniors in this community about their children. When they say, I want my kids to go away to school, I want them to go to college, and I want them to return to Millville. I want you to go out and find out why these kids don't want to return to Millville. Why these parents are saying, don't come back here. Go out there and find out. You want these children educated in Millville? You want them to go through to college? That's the greatest thing in the world. I have grandchildren I want. Do I want them to come back here? Not right now. But think about it, down the road. Mr. Santiago had a son that went to the police department. He was proud that he's following his footsteps. You know, he's a junior officer. If the money doesn't come in, he may not be here. So think about what's going on. Mr. Parent, no disrespect to you because
Thank you.
You're above me, I believe. But the rest of you go out and talk to these older people in this community that at a time in their life in the 70s and 80 years old, when they didn't have a pension plan when they worked, they don't have $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 pensions coming in, they have zero. Think about when they retired, Social Security. They're not getting $2,000, $3,000 a month Social Security. Some of them are getting $700, $800. This is killing them. It's running them out of town. They have to go with their in-laws. They have to live with their children. They don't want to do that. Nobody does. Even Mr. Parent, at his age, he wants to be independent.
Yeah.
And I want to be independent. But think about our kids, not only for the education now, but down the road. Get something here to get them back. We need them here. I want mine here. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Carty.
Thank you, Mr. Carty.
Yeah, Mr. Carty, I think it is important, you know, our educational system, even though funds are very difficult, we still have a quality education system in the city of Millville. Our students are some of the best. I don't know how the teachers deal with less money in the job that they do. I witness it firsthand, and I understand that. I also understand that, you know, with charter schools taking a nice cut out of what's happening in our public schools, it all is a major impact, you know, in our school system. But my children all got quality educations in the Millville school system. My 8 grandchildren so far have all graduated from the Millville High School. You know, some have played a lot of sports, as you know. All but one, and I'm disappointed in him, were all honor students, national honor students, and all played 3 sports. So it's up to also the families themselves to make sure that children are doing what they're supposed to do. So I appreciate, it's always a pleasure talking to you, by the way.
It is something we have to think about for our children, our grandchildren, and great-grandchildren to come. I got my little boy over there. I don't want him to leave Millville.
No, I hope so.
I'd never have a quiet day.
That's his dad. Joe?
Joe Sutherland, 51 Dorset Avenue. I'm here as the coordinator of the Millville Municipal Alliance Committee. That's the only thing I'm here for tonight. Play streets went great. There was lots of snow cones made there.
Joe, talk closer to the mic.
Hello, Mike. I do not understand how 100 people did not get a snow cone at National Night Out. Because we gave out 1,000 snow cones, and you said there was 1,100 people there. So I want to know what happened with those 100 people. Okay. I'm figuring they're diabetic or on that keto crap. Our new programs are starting up in the school. Well, they will be in September, and you know, we're looking at sponsoring a couple other programs that involves our children. And again, as always, we thank you, because without you, we could not put these programs on. And you have supported us for the last 25, 27 years. And you know, we appreciate that. We think we've made a difference. At least we hope we did. And Commissioner Parent, it's nice to see you back.
Thanks, Joe.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Joe.
Greg Kears, Millville. Our normal beacon of positivity isn't here tonight.
Okay.
So I guess I'll have to. I'm going to speak after watching all this tonight. I didn't even plan to speak, but I'll speak as someone, a young person who grew up in Millville. I'd like to think I received a fine education. I left for a long time, got a bachelor's, got a graduate education, came back, because the only way you can change a place is if you come back. If all you do is accentuate the negative to people, they're not going to want to come back and create positive. And if you have people who are thinking that way, they're just not going to come back. They're going to, well, they might come back at Thanksgiving because they have to. But otherwise, they're not. I mean, all I heard tonight was just the negativity about this. I mean, when it comes to tax dollars, eventually we're all going to die, and it's not like you can get buried with that money. So maybe we can do something, even if it's small. Maybe if it's a couple extra $1,000 that might fund half of a policeman's salary to make this a better place. Maybe we should give it a shot, because ultimately all those little things, to quote Kennedy roughly, create a ripple that turns into a wave, which will turn into a tsunami. That's all.
Thank you, Greg.
I'm not that small. Kim Cardy, I've already introduced myself, Nova. I wanted to say thank you and echo what Angel had said earlier. I haven't been to commission meetings for a lot of reasons. We have kids, and you usually get one of the Cardys, and it hasn't been me lately. But I do feel like you listened tonight, and I feel like you did that in a way that was respectful of the people who have come up and shared their concerns with you. I know well, in the recent days, what it's like to be in the spotlight of a lot of animosity, and I know how important those thank yous are, so thank you. And I just want to leave you with, again, please consider inviting somebody from the BOA into your discussions, and consider how we might be able to revenue share. I realize that some of the money, as you break it down, goes to the school district, but the true pilot, that doesn't come to the school district. And so if we could consider how we just do better, how we do better together, that would be pretty impressive. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Hi, Cindy Cook, Millville, Valene. I just want to say, first of all, you mostly know me as I've been serving as the coordinator of Millville Code Blue for a number of years. I have resigned that position. Millville and Vineland Code Blue are merging together. One of the reasons for this is we've had a 65% decline in the number of homeless people actually coming to the warming centers. Thanks in part for some of the stepped up things we've done, and partly because the shelter has changed their procedures. So Kathy Gardner, who is the coordinator for Vineland, she has been since day one of Code Blue. I decided to take another position where I can help the homeless, I hope even more, serving on the membership of the trust fund for the homeless. So I'm hoping to be able to better serve the homeless people year-round instead of just in the wintertime. Because of that, we've also had some other changes with M25. Our own Denise Arrigo has become the chairperson for Code Blue for all of Cumberland County. Rob Weinstein stepped down from his position. He's the president now, but Denise is now not just a board member, she is the chair. So with that, we're hoping to even get a firmer foothold into the homeless situation. What has happened, though, and it's a thing I've noticed, is that in the last couple of years, we have gotten 68 people from homelessness into homes in Cumberland County. But not that many of them were from Millville. There's reasons for that. We don't have a place where they can come and get the information and fill out the paperwork and get into discussions and somebody to go with them to get their birth certificates, their driver's license, to social services, and all that stuff. We vitally need that. If we want to start moving our people forward, we need to have a place where they can go, where they know where they can find my team members. Because even though I'm no longer coordinator of Code Blue, I'm still the deputy for it, and I will still be active in it. So I want you to consider that. If we get someplace where my team can work with the homeless, where they know where they can find us, instead of me driving around in my car all day long, driving up and down the street like I did the other day. I drove up and down in Millville for 2.5 hours to locate a couple of homeless people that I knew we had to get to help. Okay, I'd gotten a phone call. They needed to go somewhere. They didn't have cell phones. Took me 2.5 hours driving. Millville's not that big. We need a place where they can find us. Now, with that, I do want to say that on July 20th and July 23rd, we had an extreme situation that we haven't had before, where the heat was so bad that we had Code Red. This was not through the Code Blue M25 initiative. This was the work of Heidi. Okay, Heidi got with the churches, and in less than an hour's time, she's going to come up to thank some people, but in less than an hour's time, 3 of us had a meeting. We got a team of volunteers. We got all the supplies we needed, and we were able to get Ben Corson Hall open for the 20th and 21st, which was no easy task to staff that from noontime to 6 o'clock. But we did it because we've got awesome people here in Millville. Now, what we have done is, Heidi, I will mention this. I'm sure Heidi will expound upon it, but what's going to happen is if the heat index reaches 100 degrees on a Saturday or Sunday, now until Labor Day, we will have Code Blue again. Saturday and Sunday are the days there is no library for them to go to. There's no cooling center available for our homeless. There's no place for them to charge their phones. Well, before we could get the word out to them on the Friday for them to come in Saturday, three of our homeless ended up in the ER from heat. You know, this is what we want to try to avoid. Okay? Before Heidi comes up also, I just want to make an announcement. I received word the other day from one of our guys we sent to rehab. I've spoke about him before. He just passed his 14 months at a rehab center. We sent him 14 months ago to Mission Teens in Iowa. We collected the money ourselves and put him on a bus. I myself and a couple other people had him spend the night at a hotel the night before he left. I'm so proud of this guy. He's now a counselor. He is helping other people overcome their addictions. He is now in his 3rd Mission Teens facility. He left the one we went to. He went to a second one. And now he's at a 3rd one where he's a counselor. And I take that as a success. And now I would like you to meet the girl that pulled the Code Blue, the Code Red together. Can I introduce her now, Heidi?
Can you introduce herself?
Yeah.
Cindy.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
But this is Heidi.
Thank you, Heidi. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Heidi Diamond. I am from Millville. I live on D Street. I recently moved back to the area about a year ago. I grew up in Newfield, but I've been in Millville quite a bit. My grandmother lived in Millville most of her life, went to Trinity Church right over here, and it's always been a passion of mine to work with the community, and it's not always about us as individuals. It's the bigger picture. We spoke about a lot of things today, from the racetrack to education, general rights of people, and how things are affected. just by little decisions that we may not think are little decisions. But I make it a point to go out and say everything that I do affects everyone else. So when a little bird spoke in my ear, I have to give some credit to some people from my church who were really concerned for our homeless community. I decided I felt I had to do something. So I called around, reached out to all the people who I knew I could reach out to, and then, of course, things spiral from there, and you meet new people, and
You met Cindy.
I did, and I met Tamara, but I've known her before, and a couple other people that I've seen in the past. But these are just such a wonderful group of people who are really working for the betterment of our city. And that'll flow out if we can help more in the city. The difference between one day out of the heat was ridiculous. Like, the people that you see who come in and they're run ragged, they can't stand up, they can't keep their eyes open, to the next day, a smile. How are you? Genuinely asking me how I am. And they've never met me. That's a huge difference. They don't have any reason besides the fact that I gave them an opportunity. But it wasn't just me. There are other people that I had to work with, many people that I had to overcome some barriers with. It's always a challenge to work with different people. But it was a very successful event, and we, based on that, have made a decision that from Memorial Day through Labor Day, Trinity United Methodist Church will open Corson Hall on Saturdays and Sundays in the summer when the heat index is 100 degrees and above. This has been approved through our church council, and we are working with Code Blue but not affiliated in efforts to helping each other expand the resources that we have to provide more for our community. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you for volunteering.
Kevin Asselton, Millville. Just want to touch a couple things. Shame on me for not being more diligent on some of the issues. Do we have any update on what's going on with the G Street property? Are we still working with a developer that's interested in that? Are we still doing the remediation of the property? Is there a status going on with that? I haven't heard anything
We'll answer
recently.
that when you're finished.
Okay. I also want to give a thumbs up for doing some of thing with the EMS tonight, but I think there's also, we should look into our current EMS, what's going on with it, how many calls are missed, why are those calls missed. There might be something that we can put in a contract to make it more inducive for them to come in. There was a issue that was going to be on the work session for the 2nd Street Bank, I believe, that wound up going into closed session.
2nd Street Bank, I don't understand what you're saying.
The bank on High Street, right? The CCI.
High Main, you mean, not
right.
2nd Street. High Main.
High
Okay.
Main, sorry,
Yep.
CCI. If I recall, the city actually sold that to CCI at a very, very reasonable price years ago. So when CCI is leasing it back to us or potentially leasing it back to us, I think the rate should be very similar to what we rescinded to them years ago. And then the very last thing is the tax abbot. I know tonight I thank you for voting it down. I thank you for the information that was supplied as far as the taxes that have been paid, not been paid, because that's some of the information we do like to have. Would have been conducive to have it prior. But I also still believe it's still the wrong time with such a time period remaining in that. I also want to remind the commission that you don't have to have a resolution in order to have a work session on something. So the racetrack can come in, give us all their information without having a resolution, so the citizens can still hear the information without physically being an agenda item. And just for short things, if most of you already know that if nobody seconds it, the motion already drops on it. So there are two just general points that I think we should just remind ourselves of. I also want to thank you guys, though, for not all the little things that people don't recognize for the fireworks. That's appreciated. There was a lot of uproar on that. You guys didn't have to do anything about that because by now most of it had calmed down, so I appreciate something happening with that. But most of all, I wanted to say thank you because I know the position you guys have is a very hard position. You guys get a lot of heat, but I also want to thank you when you do the right thing and for all you do that is behind the scenes that people don't see. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Have a good night.
How you doing? I'm Ashanti Rankin. I'm not a Millville resident. I'm a Bridgeton resident, but I'm a proud educator. I am an educator at Lakeside in Millville, but I was an educator way before I got into the profession because I had 6 kids altogether. I have 4 that graduated, 4 will graduate from Millville. We had 3 that already graduate. One from the alternative school where they had incredible educators that were able to reach him and basically bring him to the finish line, which is graduating. He's a very productive citizen right now. I have a daughter who graduated from Millville. She's at Fairleigh Dickinson University. She is doing extremely well, going into her sophomore year. My son is a 10th grader. He's doing what he's doing. Boys, sometimes being males, we do what we choose, not what we should sometimes. But he's doing pretty well still. But I just came up here and I appreciate all the conversation and I appreciate the democracy and in action and the conversation in both sides of all the situations. Is because one of the things sometimes one side gets the way in, the other side doesn't get the way in, and whoever can articulate it best can get it done. But sometimes when you have a dialogue that is robust, and I also offer my services because there's some people in the community whose voices and perspectives aren't here. And what I will do by September 3rd is try to bring some other voices from our community in here. It's because we need the whole community conversation and input within that in this conversation because this is Millville. I didn't like I said, every summer I would come here with my dad. My dad lived here all his life until his passing. And my 4 sisters graduated from Millville. So I just assume I'm a Millville person. If I'm not, just adopt me. But the whole thing, like I said, we need to make sure we get all the perspectives of Millville residents because we have a diverse population. And I just thank you
so
for
much.
your service as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? I close the public portion part of this meeting. Comments of commissioners. Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, what an interesting meeting tonight, to say the least. When you talk about all perspectives, I think that's what we had a chance to hear tonight. So when I listen and I watch everyone here tonight, 3 things popped out into my mind. 1, the attendance. 2 is the passion. And 3 is the information. I don't really, I'll say personally, I don't really like the personal attacks. I really don't think that accomplishes anything. But what I do think accomplishes something is data and information. And I do believe that we all received a lot of data and information here tonight. And it was articulated from all of the residents, commissioners. It was democracy in action. And that's what we're here for. And so, as some of you may think we're not listening, I hope this reassured you tonight that we are listening. And I hope that we can continue this kind of dialogue moving forward. Cindy, you know I've been working on a place for the homeless. hopefully that issue is not finished, but we're still working on it. All right? So don't give up on it. Don't give up hope. Kathy, she left. She's the one who had the issue with her streets. I just wanted to reiterate to her that all of her information and her pictures they were referred to the proper channels, and that issue is not dead either. Everyone knows about that street in that area, so patience is a virtue. And it's government, and we know you have to have real patience for government. The CRDA money, I'm going to look into that. That's great information.
Commissioner, hold on.
Right.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So I want to look into that. We'll talk after the meeting if you stay. I appreciate that information. Again, it's the data, it's the information. Those are the things that make us move forward. It's not so much the emotion and the attacks and the little snide remarks. Those things don't make us move forward. It's the data and it's the information. And it's the sharing of the information and the respect for each other. I am happy to hear, Kevin, that someone is happy about the fireworks. So they will go off on Labor Day, and yeah, that was an ordeal, just to say the least, in that I'm sure you're aware of. So again, we'll have a public forum on this again, and I think we all want to explore more information. Kim, you made a couple really good points, and someone and a couple other people said the same thing. I don't know if she's still here, about the revenue sharing and the BOE representative sitting in. Myself, the mayor, and Commissioner Pepitone, all school board people who, I think we can appreciate that. And I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, yeah, you work too.
I was the old timer.
Yeah, you're the old timer.
Yeah.
And we still have a teacher here, so I think we all still share that feeling. So again, I want to thank you all. Don't let this be, again, the last time that you come out for any issues that we have in the city. We need all of your perspectives. We need all of your information. Some of you probably came here tonight thinking it was just an exercise in futility and nothing was going to happen. But you see what happens when we all share information. With that, Mr. Mayor, moving forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Pepitone.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, John, I want to apologize if I convey the idea that because the track pays taxes, that would be a reason that they should not have that they should continue to get an abatement. The point I wanted to make is, like the track, as well as just like Union Lake Crossings, there were individuals who never wanted those two entities to exist, and I can't imagine the place Millville would be in without the tax revenue that has been generated by both of those two entities. That being said, to echo what you said, I think you saw democracy in progress tonight. The individuals in the city came and spoke, made their points. We listened, and we're going to take that information further to make sure that we make the best decisions for Millville. It's not easy to be up here because there's a lot of situations that come into play where we have to make decisions that sometimes aren't popular. Sometimes we have more information that you may have that forces us to make decisions that are going to be maybe not quite as popular, but from our perspective and having more of a greater knowledge of what the situation is, have to make those decisions. The other thing I want to make a point is this Friday there's going to be an active shooter drill at Lakeside. This is something that's been in the process for probably almost a year, in the sense of bringing the FBI's involved. There's so many entities, the whole county is involved, to make our public aware of what would happen, God forbid, an active shooter would ever come into play. That will take place Friday. It actually begins, not the actual shooting itself, but from 6:30 in the morning till 5:15. As I said, a multitude of entities are going to be involved in it. We're looking to learn, and we're very proud of Detective Lotek, as well as all the other individuals who are involved in this process. Again, Millville, Vineland, Bridgeton, the whole county is involved, the Sheriff's Department as well. So we'll have the ability at the next meeting to provide you some information that has come from that. But just wanted to share that with you. And with that, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Dalvis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reflecting upon various comments provided by the public and the factors that we, as commissioners, must consider each day from the perspective of our departments, I have formulated two central understandings regarding a prospective amendment to the financial agreement with New Jersey Motorsports Park that apply to both code enforcement and economic development, two departments for which I'm responsible as Director of Public Affairs. First, to consider the developments at New Jersey Motorsports Park and to deem whether the improvements made and the contributions to the local economy are sufficient is subjective. To those who have found employment through New Jersey Motorsports Park and local restaurants and hotels who are supported by the clientele of New Jersey Motorsports Park, the developments made to date may be not only sufficient, but incredibly positive. To other residents, the developments made may constitute far less. However, the results of considering whether an existing business should choose to close its doors in the city of Millville or move operations to a different location provides a new concern for code enforcement in the form of yet another abandoned and vacant property in the city of Millville that may not be the first consideration for residents, but would certainly constitute an overriding concern for a commissioner and a department that is consistently attempting to seek remedies for a problem that has permeated both our center city neighborhoods and outlying neighborhoods as well. This valid concern would adversely affect the landscape of the redevelopment area, and our current tax revenues that have been collected previously and represent established line items within each budget for the school board, municipality, and county if discontinued. Additionally, the outcome of interactions with New Jersey Motorsports Park do not only represent an isolated situation, but rather the city's ability to welcome, foster, and provide a stable environment conducive to expansion. If the city and the commission were to proceed with an adversarial role that does not consider factors fully and respect a developer's plans for expansion, a perceived climate that our city is not receptive to fostering a business's plans to advance, which would actually contribute to property taxes raised through the construction of more units, will be promoted to not only New Jersey Motorsports Park, but also each interested business who would seek to open its doors in the city of Millville. With that being said, the terms under which the Commission may adopt an amendment to a pilot for New Jersey Motorsports Park is equally important as the rationale for considering the balancing of the equities under local redevelopment and housing law. To reiterate my perspective on the ordinance introduced on first reading, considering a 10-year extension to the pilot, I refer to the questions that I've cited regarding the ordinance on first reading. I provide the three questions to New Jersey Motorsports Park in advance for consideration and as well for the public. First, I inquire into the process, evidence, or rationale into the process for selecting a period of 10 additional years under the New Jersey Motorsports Park pilot agreement. Through a clear projection of expansion or plan for achieving sustainability, what is the rationale and evidence for selecting 10 years or less as the period for extension? Second, I inquire into the financial rationale or established timeline for development that requires additional time after 2023. Finally, I inquire into the rationale for determining the reason for the Commission to adopt an amendment in 2019 or 2020 that will ensure a pilot extension of 10 years following the current end date of December 2023. Through which evidence or rationale should the Commission consider a decision in the final quarter of 2019 or beginning of 2020 that may affect an extension that becomes effective after December 2023. Upon having consulted with our city officials and our city solicitor, it has been made clear that local redevelopment and housing law demonstrated through the adoption of pilot agreements is similar to evaluating planning or zoning applications for variances, in the regard that each context must be evaluated by its individual merit and not precedents of previous cases, eliminating the risk of creating a precedent for an extension of one pilot to be interpreted as an opportunity for all businesses to pursue and receive an extension. I assess that ascertaining the responses to my previously mentioned questions from New Jersey Motorsports Park seeks to gather necessary information for the Commission to consider through examining the terms of an amendment to the agreement as part of the due diligence process that is unique to items in economic development. And with the conclusion of this statement, Mr. Mayor, progress.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First of all, thank you, folks, for coming out. Past my bedtime, I don't know about anyone else. You know, at my age, I'm ready for bed by 10 o'clock, you know, reading my papers. But motorsports is a major subject that we've had. You know, I know the mayor and I have had meetings with them. They know our position up to this point. I know Commissioner Dalovich has also had meetings with them. Looking forward to some explanations by them. let us know why they need it and how long they need it. They know my position from my first meeting that I had with them, but I'm still open. I'm not turning off until we hear more from them. It's difficult when I hear people talk about our education system in the city of Millville. I talked a little bit about it with my children who went through high school here. 8 grandchildren went through high school here. Honor students, all played 3 sports every year. All went to college, all got degrees. They're all back here, except one who's a doctor down in Virginia Beach. So we miss her. Kind of wish she should be up here, but she isn't. That's about all, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor, I'm sorry. You okay?
I'm good.
First of all, I want to thank this commission for what role we played today in the road of listening to all the folks that were in front of us and those who were watching TV. I also want to say that I think we validated what you were saying. We have concerns, you have concerns. And we'll come to a decision in regards to those concerns. And I hope that it's a win-win for all of us. That's what I want to stress, that we have to have a win-win for all of us in whatever decision we make with the motorsports park. I think they've been a great partner with the city of Millville. Some of you may not agree, and I understand that. We can agree to disagree, disagree to agree, whatever way you want to hear it or see it. But I'm glad we had this meeting. I'm glad that we made the decisions that we made. I'm proud of this commission, and I look forward to September 3rd as to when we come back to the same room. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
This means roll call.
Is it all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
This